Hello, everybody. If it's Wednesday, it's Warhammer, and that must mean it's time for another episode of Warhammer Weekly. Joining me, he's back on the show. It's Mr. Strengthhammer himself. We're late because we were just literally talking about working out. It's Chuck. What's up, buddy?
Vince, it's good to be here. I got my nice, even though we're doing a workout show, I guess apparently at the start. I
Apparently,
got my
switching.
I got my hot cocoa, so a little bit of a mental strength building here for a nice show about all the cool things going on.
Yes, we're gonna work out our brains today with a little bit of fun discussion and argumentation about the coolest characters in AOS. I thought this. I don't know that we've ever really done this show, and I thought about it, and I was like, there's a lot. At this point, we're far enough in. We're like, 10 years ish into AOS. We got a lot of characters bouncing around, and so the question is, who's actually cool, who's not? What have they done a good job with? Whom have they done a good job with, and who have they not? Right. So that's what we're gonna figure out. Yes, I agree. Gareth says short hair Chuck. That's right. That's right. I was commenting the same thing, Gareth. That's very funny.
He was.
All right. So, but we'll start with some news. There's not much, but we'll do a little bit of it. As always, as we're going through this, make your voice heard, chat. Throw some, let us hear your comments. Hit like, hit subscribe, do all those things and make dings. And don't forget super chats there if you want to, chuck a couple bucks to the show. It helps out. It's a super cool thing. All right. So a little newsy news. First off, a rumor engine that I think is actually for us, Chuck. It's exciting. I think it.
I
Okay. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
please go ahead. I'll
No, no,
say
I've got a theory.
I just have to say I saw this, and this is the first rumor engine I've been excited for a long
Mm-hmm.
time because it's very obvious, like 40K, something that's not my army. I saw this and I got such World of Warcraft vibes from the way it's all etched out. And I don't know why they just like triggered like, oh, I don't know what this might be potentially. This could be something very cool and very unique, not necessarily different. I don't want to call it a new army, but I was excited when I saw it.
Yeah, this so certainly could be a chaos thing. Certainly could be a death thing. It's got the teeth in the skull have like long vampire-y fangs, kind of, right? Or sort of highly expressed incisors, as it were, to a degree.
Mhm.
So, certainly could be a new zombie dragon or a new vampire lord, which would be super cool. That would be awesome. So that's I always love it. Like that's a kit that could use a good resculpt. I'm excited about that. Could
Mhm.
be a dark elf thing.
Yep.
Those could
Could
obviously
be.
use some resculpts. I would be excited about that. The point is that like this is of all the things this is likely. I'll take any of them. Right?
Yeah.
I agree. This one excited me because I was like, could be this, could be a dark elf thing. There's a couple chaosy, perhaps slaves of darkness things it could be, but it's probably a soul blight thing, right?
It's
And
not just weapon.
right,
I've gotten real tired of here's weapon. I know what a weapon is. I don't care who's holding it. It's a weapon. It's not exciting. This shield, is this a back? Where we at? Is
yeah,
armor?
could be a
Well, yeah.
grave guard. Could thank you. Yeah, Morty Hammer should be a grave guard. Yeah, could be a
Yeah.
new. Could be our much hoped for new grave guard. Absolutely, I would be completely down with that. Right? Like maybe this is the back of their armor and they got the cloak going out underneath or something. Heck yeah,
Hmm.
right? I Morty said he actually typed gravel guard the first time.
Gravel guard.
That's what they usually end up moving around the board 4 inches, and then somebody charges them if they're, and then they end up guarding the gravel. But at any rate, yeah, no, I'm excited for any of those. So that probably means, as Lodovic has just said, that it will in fact be 40K and let us all down. But no,
Oh,
I think it'll be something we like. So
if it's 40K, we're just converting it over. Let's just be
sure,
honest.
as always. Okay. The other thing that happened this week was they did the Armies on Parade winners. Chuck, did you take a look at those Armies on Parade winners there?
I did it. I'm a fan of seeing a completed army on the table, and I've competed in armies on parade before. I will not compete in the worldwide one because I stand zero chance. But but it's always fun to see someone's creation come to life, whether they're creating a standard, like this is just an army from the universe, and you can very clearly tell it, but it's passion put into it, or if it's a highly converted, crazy off the wall thing, it's all exciting. So yeah, I always look through those. I like seeing army pictures, even whenever someone's at an event and posting poor quality lighting because none of our halls are great, lighting pictures of armies. I will go through and just like because I just love seeing people's armies.
Agreed. I grabbed a few here that I thought were pretty cool. Not, I mean, they were all cool. Let me just say that. But I'm not gonna grab like all 20 of them or whatever that they did for all the different awards. But I grabbed Andrea Christini's in the individual section, the Gloomspite. This was, I thought, really cool. Very simple, obviously, display board. Just, straight up, great looking army. And yeah, super fun. Love all the like moonlit light on all the trolls and the bad moon's light there. So I just, yeah, thought it came out really awesome with that pop and pink, that kind of pinky orange all over the place. Just a great looking army that jumps there. Pulled the Necrons because they're Necrons and I like Necrons. And then I thought this was a really cool one. There was a really interesting one I meant to grab it. Then I'm sorry, I must have forgotten the picture. The like super converted. I think they were meant to be like orcs or something.
Yeah, I think it was Ricky's.
Yeah, it was Ricky's. Yes,
Ricky's,
I'm sorry,
yeah.
Ricky. I meant to grab yours as well. I thought I grabbed the picture, but I must have not gotten it. So I am very sorry about that. But yeah, Ricky Smith's I thought was amazing. That had like the conversion of like FEC bits and Skaven bits and all of that and Swamp Boggler parts right into that. And I grabbed this one just because I thought it was really funny. Chuck, you've been to Warhammer World at some point,
I have, yes.
Yes. So, I mean, obviously it's not that hard to figure out that's what's going on here from the fact that they wrote it on the front of the building. But I just thought this was like a very funny image of all of the chaos tanks attacking, and the actual blue rhino that's sitting out there is in like the position it's in the parking lot and all of that. I just thought this was really funny and creative. So
I wish in the bottom right corner of our perspective they had the Stormcast statue.
Yeah.
Like, I guess it's probably hard to find those Liberators now, so.
Truly the only thing missing, yeah, because it'd be like it's like right down this road, right? It's like kind of right there. Yeah. All right, so at any rate, I just thought that was like really creative, and I love a painted background on a display board, and I thought Stefano did a really amazing job. Like, what a very fun conversion of everything in a scene. So yeah,
and if you're out there and you have never set out your army and made a display board for it, not even a full display board, but set it out in a cool scene for yourself, that counts as hobby in my mind, and it is a fun thing to do. Be proud of your work and play with your toys.
100%. Like, on one hand, I hate it because all my armies are like set up in these cabinets, so I don't like. That's how I look at them all the time. And so if I to get them all out and like take pictures of them, I'm like, oh god, this can take forever. But anyways, that was our armies on parade. So yeah, very cool stuff from all of the submitters. I thought everybody's armies looked really, really awesome. All right. Well, let's leave that behind, and let's talk about a little pick of the week, shall we? Chuck, what would you like to share with everybody? What have you been watching? What have you been reading? What do you want to direct everybody to?
It's kind of twofold. And I guess it might be a little bit of a cop out. The first one is where as you know, as you've mentioned, I had long hair. I donated, I think it was at least 12 inches braided to a charity called Children with Hair Loss. Vince, I'll gladly give you a link in the Discord here in a second. But
absolutely, thank you. I appreciate that.
The reason why I like them and found them is because they don't charge anyone for the wigs. They don't even hit the insurance. They give it out completely for free, and they accept monetary donations as well as hair. So, and like I said, I'll give you that link. Click on it. You see the kids smiling with wigs that need it, and it's just like, oh my god, it just melts your heart. The second, I won't lie, I've been a little disengaged with a lot of Warhammer content lately, just because of new role and a new job I have. So it's taken away a lot more time, and then in the evenings it's been time with the wife. But the one besides Warhammer Weekly that I always tend to listen to will be That Old World Charm, which is a podcast exclusive. Done my friends Peter the Falcon and Adam Camilleri. It's old world focused, but I absolutely love it. And if you're into old world and you want to know like some top tier information on how to play armies and how things might work, it's a great place to go.
Very nice. I love it. Good suggestions. I will put those links down there after the show. For myself, my shout out is to our buddy Paul, who was on the show recently with me, Radio Free Hammer Hall, who did a fun episode called Can We Fix Combat Heroes in Age of Sigmar 4th Edition? And I have to say, I largely agree with a lot of Paul's ideas, making these guys a little more scary, having them deal actual real damage, and actually have use. just as he says in the video, he's still not sure many of them would ever get taken, just because the way they count a drop and count as a drop and all of that. But at least then, if you did take them, you would feel like, okay, well, they're worth something. And I liked a lot of his changes. I thought they were pretty good. Like, I thought he did a good job with the Deathmaster, stuff like that. He tried to pay attention to, like, what is the actual sub role this hero is trying to do besides being a melee foot fighter. Like, are they meant to go fight a unit? Are they meant to go kill a hero? And I thought did a nice job with it. So, Paul, it was a good video, and I will link it down below. Warpstone Enjoyer said, we absolutely can fix them. It's only a question of if we will. I agree. Okay. All right, so yeah, check all that out. That will be linked down in the description. All right. Yeah, give me just a second here. I'm just time stamping. All right, and
That's why you should like and subscribe, because he's time stamping.
That's right. We always do the timestamps. Now I guess you're not supposed to do timestamps anymore. This is the thing, like. Because people are like, oh, well, then they can skip around the video and they won't watch the whole video. And I'm like, oh, for God's sakes. I don't care. I'm doing it as a convenience for my viewers, not to, like, worry about checking some box on an algorithm, for God's sakes.
Someone who ignores the algorithm and doesn't do timestamps, I'm back on top, baby. Here we go.
Absolutely. There you go. Drink milk, don't drink milk. Look, I don't know, man. I'm just here to make content, okay, and talk about the games I love. So there you go. Let's talk about some hobby time. You are a hobby machine, despite what you said. I know how much you actually paint, because, like, this is going to be the funniest thing to do this comparison. But anyways, what have you been working on recently?
Let's start with the personal. Within the past month, a couple months, I finished up a Bretonnian army, so that's good. I did do a nice little on my Instagram, a nice little project where I took pictures of all my armies in their current completion status, just to have that kind of collection going, so that you can check out all my armies over on Instagram. But I recently picked up and painted this fella right here.
Yes, the Stormcast porta potty.
Yes, and I want to talk about it briefly. I absolutely hate that the rules team took this and made it an army terrain piece. Because one, I hate army terrain. I'm with you, and I don't think the Stormcast needed it. That said, I absolutely love this piece. This on a table for Sigmar is beautiful. This is a great terrain piece. So throw those rules away, everybody. If you have a table at home and you need a nice little terrain line of sight blocking piece, this is a great piece.
Yeah.
Just get it for that. Don't use it for Stormcast, because that's dumb. But I just want to, because I really fell in love with this piece while building and painting it. And it's terrain, and I paint a lot of terrain, so it's weird to say that, but I bought it because I have Stormcast, even though I don't play them. But this is a great piece of terrain.
Yeah,
I don't care about its rules. That's all I want to say, because, like, I want to get that out there, because it's like, yeah, it's a porta potty, it's funny, but it's a great piece of terrain.
No, the funny part about it is I use tons of faction terrain as all of my like, not all my terrain, I should say that. I use a bunch of army faction terrain as normal terrain in most games we play. Like, so, like, if we're not playing that army, I will often use the Seraphon Pyramid or a Skaven Gnawhole or the Khorne Altar. Like, I'll use those as, like, places of power and stuff on the maps, right? They're just nice pieces of terrain in general, and I've got the Stormcast one as well. I'm excited to get that thing there and on the table at some point, just because I like having army faction terrain. Makes nice little spikes to go along with your bigger, like, buildings and other pieces of terrain. It's good. On the terrain maps, they have a lot of, like, little small pieces that are meant to be blocking and stuff, and most of the faction terrain's, like, perfect size for that.
Exactly. And I've seen people paint this like me, very simply, a day, it's done, it looks good. And I've seen people do amazing stuff with this too. So, Vince, I know you're gonna do something amazing with it, so I look forward to that.
It should be fun. But my actual hobby time has been spent doing another Clan Rat. So this is Clan Rat number 13. He's almost done. And it's magic number 13. I should just stop there and just be like, nope, that's it. That's all I'm ever doing.
Army's
13. But nope, he's just number 13. I have so many more to go, but I'm almost done. And so we just keep chugging along. They're taking about 6 to 8 hours still per Clan Rat, so that's a long time. And I've made this decision, and I guess now I've got to sleep in this bed. The funny part about it is it's really only the clan rats that's the problem, of course. Like, painting the big pieces don't take that much longer, and they're worth so many more points. It's just because clan rats are worth, nothing.
Nothing.
Yeah. And you put them on the game, on the table, they're always my bestest little boys. Clan rats never let me down. But I got 3 games in this last weekend, and 2 of them were with Skaven. And my clan rats were absolutely the thing that never disappointed. They always do what I hope they do. They just deliver a moderate number of wounds and take a reasonably often decent amount of time to die. That's it. That's just
Perfect.
like that's what you're there for. I wish everything else in my army was as reliable as clan rats. But hey, there we go. All right. Well, Chuck, in very short time, are you ready to turn to today's featured discussion? Our tier list.
I'm not sure if you've noticed what is on my mug today.
Ah, yes, of course. We are. Oh, she will be discussed, of course.
Oh, okay. Actually, I was going to force her in at the end, but okay, she's in the list.
Well, I've got.
Right.
I should say this. I've got the original. How about the original recipe on here? How about that? There you go.
Fair.
But yes, certainly we can. I did honestly, since I knew you were going to be on the show, think about going and grabbing a picture of Teyrathi and sneaking her in last minute. But I figured you'd bring it either way. So I have grabbed a wide selection of characters from across the mortal realms, and we're gonna break it here into 4 tiers, as per usual. I've done this with my patented color coding PowerPoint methodology. Now, could I do this in Tier Maker? Yeah, sure, but I don't want to. I like doing it on my little presentation, so I can have my little presentation saved.
Well,
Now,
I like it too that we can go between.
That's right.
That tier list, you're locked in. It's all or nothing. Here, we can go 75-25.
I can ride the line. That's right. Mm-hmm. That's right. Exactly. So look, I grabbed a lot of characters, okay? But chances are I missed the character, the weirdo character that you are personally obsessed with, you out there, random viewer. And if I did, I'm sorry in advance. I'll so like, please, as we get to the end, we'll capture the anybody that I felt like I missed.
And if you're watching this post live, put in the comments what character it is, link to their wiki, and let us know where you'd put them.
That's right, exactly. Okay, well don't put in a link because then it'll flag your
okay,
don't
put a link. Don't put a link.
But
I'm a YouTuber as well, Vince. I know what to.
Yes. All right. So we just got a bunch of them. Ian Clark says, what's the parameters? Sure, let's talk about it. So the top tier is pure Chad. Okay? This character is pure Chad. There's nothing wrong with them. They are as perfect can be. We love them. They're amazing. Like, we want more of them. They've had cool stories, cool interactions, and they're just a cool concept for a character. Okay? And this is just totally by our estimation of it. Your response today on Twitter was so perfect, by the way, because you responded to my post about this with the cool, right?
Taylor Swift cool. Yep.
The Taylor Swift cool. And that's our tier 2. Tier 2 is cool. Right? Like, they're not bad, they're just like cool. It's nothing they've done that sets them apart that exceptionally, but cool. Okay. Tier 3 is what I call exists. Like, yep, they exist. That is, they are a thing that exists. We are sure of it. Okay? Beyond that, I can't say much more about them. And then the bottom tier, your basement tier, is who? Literal who? Like, why would we ever care? You are a waste of of all ink that has ever mentioned you. Okay?
Ouch. Okay. I do have one question on the parameters here.
Yes.
For some of these characters, they're going to have a lot more history.
Yes.
Should I try to remove... It's going to be hard for a few characters, especially the elf characters, the ones that are from the old worlds. That's kind of where I'm hinting at. They have a lot more to go off of. I'm not saying they're all going to be pure Chads. That's not the case at all. But should I try and separate out some of their old world stuff as opposed?
I think it's more that we weight it to AOS. If there's some particularly interesting interactions from the old world, we can make mention of it. We can consider that evidence, but it will be weighed more lightly. Okay.
There's one in particular, and it'll probably surprise you that I'm going to maybe fight for their old world to be part of them. But we'll get there when we get there.
That's fine. Yes, any old world
Okay.
mentions will be under strict scrutiny. That's what I'll say. How about that?
Understood.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. So, I'm just gonna start grabbing random people here from the side because I just put all these images in a big pile, and we'll just get right into it. Okay. So, ba-boom. We'll start off with our boy here, Corgus Cull, leader of the Bloodbound. Recently, sort of epically died in a fight with Vandus Hammerhand at the end of the Broken Realms, or whatever the heck this last thing was called. Satilogy, whatever you call a 6-book series. And is theoretically going to be reborn as something, since his form, like they kind of mentioned his form, like writhing and going a bunch of different directions and stuff like that. But we have no idea what his new form or final form or whatever he will be. Obviously has the super cool reality splitting axe. Pretty awesome. He managed to take out a Lord Celicent or whatever. Like he had to with that axe to earn his most recent stripes and get be back in Khorne's favor. But dude killed a continent or whatever, like a continent sized realm beast. And obviously he's been there since the beginning of AOS, right? This is like one of the very first characters we're introduced to. He got his own novel. By all accounts, I have not read it, but by all accounts I've been told it's actually pretty darn good. One of the better sort of AOS novels, focuses on like his early days in the tribe and stuff like that. So and importantly, he's got a dog.
He does. Doggo helps.
I mean, that matters. He has a dog. All right. So Chuck, where does Corgus Cull? What did I miss? Anything you want to mention first off with him?
No, nothing as far as his accolades go. He made multiple Lord Celestins, countless Stormcast, and probably who knows how many Dark Oath that he just, or orcs and goblins he went through.
He's killed his way through civilizations, right? Yes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
If I was to place him personally, if you asked me back in the Realm Gate Wars, I know we're going far back, 9 years?
Yeah, sure.
He'd be solid, cool, maybe high end of cool.
Okay.
As of right now, I'd have him exists high end with a toe into cool, because there's potential. And there was so much potential, I think, when he came out, which is why I had him as cool. But I mean, when some of your story gets relegated to White Dwarf, I don't know if I can say you're permanently cool.
Wow, that hurts.
Yeah.
All right. I do agree that he's got a lot of potentiality. We don't know what's going to happen. Like, a lot's going to depend on whenever we get the Khorne book, we're going to get new Corgus Cull model, right? Like, I have to assume that will happen. So at any rate, I think we got to leave him in cool. He is pretty cool because I get what you're saying, but he's got that dog, and I'm going to say
I can't argue the dog. If the dog pulls him to cool, I won't argue that.
All right, we'll put him down here in the corner. We'll build our brick here down here. All right, cool. Okay, next up, Gordorak, who is the, I guess. So what's Gordorak been up to? Well, he's done a lot of things. He's sort of was the like embodiment of destruction and the will of Mork and Gork until basically Kragnos came around, and then other characters, and then that became more important. They got a new god that wasn't their god. He's killed a lot of wizards. He was certainly he got into it a little bit back in the battle over wherever the heck the Celestial Vindicators are from. I can't remember. Excelsior. Like he was in
Excelsior, yeah.
Yes.
Celsius. Yeah.
Excelsius. Thank you. Yes, not what Stan Lee said. He got into some things there. He had some good fights. He's had some good punch ups and stuff like that. I don't know. What else is there to say about this dude? He's a relatively smart orc.
He's got, I mean, I know it's all hinted at, but he's got the coolest axe. He decided that if I cut it in half, pull in half. Now I got two of the best axe instead of just the best axe.
It's a good plan.
Um,
That's
I,
logic
I,
right
I
there.
is I'm not gonna put him above cool, but I think he does sit cool and cool. Sorry, we started with a bad character for me to base things off.
That's okay.
But I do think he's fully in cool, just because he is a chosen of his god, to the
Okay.
point that the god made him personally by punching him, punching
Basically,
this
yeah.
random or yeah, and he survived it. I don't know if like obviously Korg is cool. He has done stuff for Korn, and Korn has finally acknowledged it after he's going through his trials. But
Yes.
if a god goes, "I need you," punches you, and you survive, cool. Now you're with me. I still think he's gonna be in cool.
Okay. Okay. I Here's what I'll say. I see a little bit of waste with him. I'm mostly with you, but I think I've got to have him toe just slightly into exists because of his wasted potential. They could have done so much more with him. I think Kragnos derailed his story to some degree.
Oh, 100%. Yeah.
Okay. So we're pretty close. I've
Yeah.
got him
Yeah.
like towing just a little bit down there into exist. We'll call it 20%. Fair enough?
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
I like
I
that we
accept.
just flipped on those two guys entirely.
Yeah. Yeah, that's fine.
Like they're still near each other, but
Yeah, yeah, exactly. All right. Prince Vorderai. So leader of the what is it, Castellans or whatever, the particular thing. He leads
Mhm.
Blood Knights, right? So he's one of these guys. Not a Mortarch, obviously, but still a pretty important named character, kind of like an heir to the Blood Dragon type of throne sort of dude. Uh, you know, rolls around in the floating Red Keep or whatever. Showed up incidentally in some of the most recent narrative. Kind of got in a little fight and then left. I mean, I'm gonna tell you straight away, this dude, for me, is like our first who, like
yeah. Oh
this
yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
pure
I'm
who.
sorry. You like blood and you're riding a dragon? I'm sorry, sir. This is Age of Sigmar. That's Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Just who? This
Yeah.
guy?
Oh, you're
What?
yeah. You're wearing armor and you have a lance. Oh, look at you go. You're
Yeah, you're
way
so
yeah.
special. Yeah, literal who that dude.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Let's grab another one here. I'm just gonna. Who's fun?
Who's next? Who's next?
Okay, here you go. Oh, this
It's
is
like a
fun.
gotcha machine.
Exactly. I'm just going over here with the claw. Okay. Skregrot, the Loon King. The Bad Moon speaks to him. He's like, he can interpret Kragnos, right? Or whatever. He, or no, sorry, that's the wrong guy.
No,
I
that's the
apologize.
Cruel Boys guy.
That's
Yeah.
the Cruel Boys guy. Yeah, sorry. Skrygrot, obviously, what am I thinking of? He was involved in a lot of the planning and lead up as well to that Excelsius March, and he was, prodding and moving along Gordrak. Obviously super cool as far as his story and goblins. The way he like traps people and grow like his whole mushroom farming operation to get like the most potent stuff out of growing it out of
hmm
people and stuff like that.
He's very industrious, collecting
Yes,
bottles. So much going on.
absolutely.
Lot of irons in the fire.
Yes. Uh, did have a full shout out to who's saying the original Gloomspite Gets reveal trailer. He was featured heavily in that, admittedly. The Bad Moon spoke to me once, right? Like very memorable trailer. But I can't think of like too many times he's been too heavily involved in a number of things. He hasn't had as much story potential as we might hope out of him. But that's my take. What did I miss here? What do you think about him?
I mean, there's a lot to be said about controlling an empire of goblins. Like you're
Mm-hmm.
controlling the uncontrollable, be it through fear or toxins or like whether you're carrot or stick. There is a lot to be said about one goblin being smart enough to survive that and do that. And I think that's going to like increase his worth a little bit for me, not a lot, but it's he can control the moon too on the table with his rules, so he can
That's
hold
right.
the moon
And
back.
like
So
he does speak to and control the moon. In world, he does it. He's done it in some of the stories as well. He plays around with the bad moon.
So if he can move the moon even slightly in a direction, he's controlling where those goblins are going. That's a pretty mighty feat as itself.
Sure. So where do you want to put this guy? We've got a lot of votes in the chat for pure Chad, but that seems high. Boy,
That seems high.
that's tough.
I'm a dead 50 between cool and exists.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's partially because like the model could be a lot cooler, but I also get why it's a goblin on foot.
Sure.
He's cool. He does cool things, but what's he done lately?
Not a lot. I feel like he's a victim to some like we've got all these little characters in Destruction that had to bounce around and suddenly like be in a new story, and they always write Destruction poorly, anyways. So I feel like he's another victim to some degree of like not being in the central focus of of what's going on recently. Mm-hmm. I tend to agree with you, though. I'm sorry to let down our audience. I know there were many votes for him being in Chad. But I think he is. I put him a little more into cool than exists. He is certainly a cool dude, but I feel like again some wasted potential. All right. Big B, Be'lakor, first of the demon princes, creator of the sort of black storm. That
lasted a long time.
Yes, well. It's still like now apparently kind of floating around sort of sometimes is as how it's been recently retconned to be that like, oh, the storm wasn't in the area. I guess it's just like a moving thing now that just happens sometimes.
Oh, so we can meteorologically predict it. Great. Okay.
Exactly. Yeah, it's just like any weather pattern. The traps Stormcast souls. My favorite interaction with him is actually when he and Lady O had a little stare down / discussion contest showdown or whatever back in the previous series. That was actually really good. He and Lady O having a talk was actually like a really 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 good character scene. I mean,
I'll give the reason why, because I'm sure there's some fan out there that's gonna be like, oh, he's pure Chad. Let me tell you why he's not.
Okay.
One specific scene where he's attacking a Caradron boat. And he sees little Caradron overlords that's actually Grombadil. Not Grombadil. Sorry, it's not Grombadil. It's Grugny.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, not the White Dwarf. Yeah, Grugny.
Right, not the White Dwarf. Yes. He'll fight the White Dwarf. That's a character on tow with him. But he saw Grugny in disguise and pieced out the entire battle. Not just I'm going elsewhere. He's like, I'm done. I lost. That is why he can never be pure Chad. Sometimes, like I love his anti-establishment, going after Archeon. He's trying to be the
absolutely. You got to give this dude some credit. Yeah,
but until he takes a swing at a god, he'll never be a pure Chad to me.
I see. No, that makes sense. Doesn't have. He won't. He doesn't. He's too much of a schemer. Doesn't really step up. A little bit of as Max C said, a little bit of a Starscream, right?
I'm a Starscream fan, but like Starscream not going to ever lead to Decepticons more than 10 minutes. I fully accept that.
Megatron, is that you? Here's a hint. Yeah, exactly. And then just dust. All right. Would you support a 50-50 of pure Chad and cool for Be'lakor? Because he does oppose Archeon. He's made some big moves. He's had some big narrative impacts on the world. But at the same time, he's a little bit of a background schemer. He's not pulling quite as cool of things as he could be doing.
I'm going to be hard on this because not to give the horse away, but like Archeon's going to be in pure Chad for me, and he's going to walk up and it's going to be Chris Rock all over again. Keep your pure Chad out of keep your Be'lakor out of pure Chad.
So you want him down here a little bit more. Okay.
I would be 100% cool, top of cool, 100%. I cannot in good conscience say pure Chad, but I'm willing to obviously, if you have other thoughts and views.
All right. I'll tell you what. I'll mostly acquiesce to your beliefs here. We'll meet. We'll reach across the aisle. We'll shake hands. I'll put him like 10% into pure Chad. Okay. He wants to, right. Because that's what he wants to be, right? He just keeps backing off at the last moment. Okay. All right. Very good. Okay. Oh, this will be a fun one. All right. the Altharion, effectively, but the Light of Altharion as he's currently known. So this is a character that stretches back, as you said, into the old world, right?
Hmm.
He's a ghost now, basically, or whatever. I don't know, something. He's like an energy ghost. And he has not done a huge amount of things in the narrative, but he did do a thing in the narrative that I loved,
Oh
which
yes.
was which was punch Archon the Black so hard in the face, right off the edge of the realm, just like
Hmm.
battered him into the edge of the realm of Haish, which is just like pure light, until he turned to just obliterated him. It was just
Hmm.
like,
Hmm.
hey, remember the old world when you did some nasty stuff to my family? Guess what, buddy?
Yeah.
It's time for some
Right.
revenge. And he
He turned me to
just
dust. I
took him
turned
to
you to
task.
dust. Yep.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, it's he's a cool character. They don't give him a lot of love. I kind of wish they would bring back more characters in similar veins, or at least create characters like him that are those obvious sub characters who still have weight.
Yeah.
Thankfully, most of his story is in the old world, so it's pretty hard separation. What he might be a little bit in exist because he doesn't do a lot, but I think he has some toe holding cool. One, yeah, you could say it's because of the punching Archon into the void of Haish, but that was turnabout for fair play from the old world. The reason I want to put him in cool a little bit is because Teclis wanted him back. Teclis felt so bad that he sent him to die during the old world, which is
Yeah.
what happened. That he kept trying to recreate him, and the one time he failed and Teclis was about to give up, he's so sad. Altharion's like, no, it's my bro. I'll just exist as armor. So his soul
Sure.
was still there and sentient enough to recognize what needed to be done. Like, let's be honest, that's a terrible way to exist.
Yeah, sure. Just a ghost in
But
armor. Yeah, yeah.
he's willing to do it for his friend.
Okay.
So a little bit, there's going to be a toe and cool for sure, even if he dips down to exists. That percentage is a little murky for me, but
I'm with you. I think he's down there. Like he hasn't done a lot. He had one cool moment, but we're gonna definitely have him partially and cool because that was a super cool moment. So
yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Very good. Who's next? All right. Gutrot Spume. So the pirate leader of the Nurgle Rotting Sea uh what do you want to call this? Like Sea Fleet. There you go. The Nurgle
Yeah.
Fleet. It has a name, but I can't remember what it is.
Dreadfully,
Something. At any rate, he has done basically nothing. He showed up in a few stories. He's done exactly what you think he would do, which is to say he's like, oh no, here comes Gutrot Spume. He sailed in at the last moment and ambushed us from the seas with his boat of ships. I mean, look, this guy's obviously a cool model. It's neat. He does sure exist, right?
yeah. I mean, there's a little bit of who I think
Yeah.
in there too, just because he suffers from being an old world model that was thrown in,
Yeah.
and they don't know what they want to do with him.
Agreed.
Like they could have themed an entire Nurgle army around him to the 11, turn it up to 11, but they didn't. Here's a unit. Here's a little rule. Wasted potential for sure.
Yep. Agreed. Sad, but agreed. Okay. Let's see. Who's next? Who's next? We'll grab this one. Ah. Oh, we grabbed a big one. I fished a big one out.
Ooh, all right. What we got?
We got Big Oosh. Oosharon, the Mortarch of Delusion, the newest Mortarch to join the ranks, at least, from our perspective, the story readers, that is to say, although he's been around for a long time narratively. The Summer King, all of this stuff, the lead up to him was so long, right?
Yeah.
We had a whole series of lead up to this guy just existing, right? When we got his introduction, we got really an amazingly fun narrative scene, I will say.
Mm-hmm.
The part of the Broken Realm story where the Stormcast and the forces of whatever green place of I can't remember the name of the city, but whatever.
Not living city. Hammerhall.
Hammerhall Guyran. There we go. Thank you. Where the forces from Hammerhall Guyran are like in his castle having dinner, and you see like the weird interscene politics of his
Hmm.
noble court, and he like gets shot and he's like, "Oh, thou wounded me," and he like flees away, right? And he's always writing this weird line where you don't know how crazy he actually is. Is he
Yep.
like actually the most brilliant of them? You see like these flashes of just mad genius, but he's also just comes off like a complete and total psychotic lunatic and also a child kind of sometimes, you
He's
know?
so close to being our Deadpool.
Yeah. So like uh I thought that was one of the most fun scenes
Yeah.
in that whole Broken Realms story. Obviously, he doesn't have a very long history, but the Summer King is neat. He and his blood are heavily involved in the overall story for a lot of different reasons. In the madness that got passed to Abraxia, in the searching for like Ionis and other Stormcast who are searching for a cure for the flaw in the Stormcast design, right? Like he's sort of at the nexus point of a lot of narrative threads that are
Hmm.
going on right now, right? Um, yeah, I mean, he for the limited if we're evaluating them at all on like a sort of if like it was the XY scale of time you've really existed to in the story versus cool things you've done or like impact, he would be super high, right?
Hmm.
In his like beats per minute. Does that make sense? Yeah.
Yep. Yep. Hmm.
So I don't know, man. This guy might be pure Chad for me. He's pretty awesome.
To be fair too, it's hard to rate Death because I usually take things through the eyes of order.
Sure.
Um, but what he has done and represented is the potential to be the most pivotal character long term in a lot of different people's stories. Like
Yes.
not like order, death, obviously chaos now.
Yeah, he's like
Destruction maybe
messing
not, but
about in
yeah.
all the other factions basically. That's right.
Yeah, and I said I like it very much. He's like, "Oh no, call an ambulance, but not for me." Type deal. It's just great. Um I it's hard for me to argue pure Chad, but I won't fight if someone puts him in pure Chad fullest because like yeah, he's done some cool stuff, and I think they keep riding his wave without abusing it. He could become a much more important character than like even to like the god level characters per
Yeah,
se.
yeah. He really does have an outside impact. All right, let's do this. Let's get him like mostly into pure Chad, but I'm gonna leave him just a little towing into cool because he's still got some room to grow.
Sure,
Right?
sure.
He's still got some room to grow here. Like he's in a lot of the Dawnbringer stuff, but there's more room. There's more room. We
Yeah,
need to see more. We need more time to let him really show his full potential. Okay.
yeah, that's fair.
All right. Very good. Uh, and like we're going to talk about him compared to some of the other Mortarks later, but my God, the difference in like impact of story there, because obviously like I've got the all the Mortarks in here as well.
Yeah, he's the opposite of Gutrock. He was written for Sigmar, and they know what they want to do with him.
Yeah,
All great
exactly,
things.
100%. All right, next up, Lord Screech Vermin King, a like the named Vermin Lord, Council of 13 guy. Has all the aspects of the Greater Council of 13, involved in a lot of the scheming around, not the only one, but one of the ones involved. He was like heavily involved in the scheming around the
Vermin Doom.
the great plan here recently that had Skaventide occur, right?
He's the only reason Skaven exists in Age of Sigmar too.
Yeah.
He's the one
So
that said during the end times, Skaven Blight, we out. We going over here to chaos. We're attaching here and we're living.
yes. So but ultimately, like, it's neat that he was instrumental to some degree in the whole Skaven exploding up and becoming, coming back to the mortal realms in a big way thing. But, uh-huh. Who? I'll be incredibly generous since I'm biased towards Skaven, and I will put 1% of his image there into the exists category, but otherwise he's just
Okay.
literal who like
Yeah,
who cares?
if we were just doing the Skaven tier list, he'd be a pure Chad. But we're
Sure,
not. He's
we're
got
not.
some weighty people he's up against.
He is indeed. He is indeed. That's right. Okay. Oh, good. The whoest of who's. I didn't even know this is what I was grabbing. I literally just reached my mouse over. What the claw brings back is so fun. Okay. Okay. Sk-
You can't even get it out.
Skilla Angram or Angron or however you say
Oh.
Angran. You know what I'm talking about? This
I know who
guy.
you're talking about. Yeah,
Okay, I'm gonna make him big just so everybody can see him for a moment. This like hilarious thing.
yeah.
This funny weird idiot that came over from like I don't know 40K or the old world or
From
whatever.
like Forge World, Old World.
Yes, yes. Uh, we are going to dumpster this guy so far down in literal who he's
Yeah,
like falling off the
yeah,
chart.
yeah. That top right or left corner needs to be dangling. Like turn it to an
Yeah,
angle, and it's like he's clutching on to who.
exactly. Like oh god, I can barely hang on down here. Yeah. That guy. What a joke. Like okay, come on now. What are we doing here?
It's so bad. My one friend I play Old World with loves corn. He told me his story from Old World about a month ago, and I was like, oh, I never knew it, and I couldn't tell you what it is right now. I've forgotten it. He's so far who that his history is useless to me.
Right. Exactly. Oh boy, maybe the king of literal who's. All
Hmm.
right. Oh, this will be a fun one. Okay. So, oh god, I have to actually remember his name because I didn't have the so it's the leader of the Idneth Deepkin, Volturnos. There we go. Sorry,
Yeah,
I had to say it out loud.
Volturnus.
Yes,
Volturnus.
Volturnus.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay. So Volturnus, obviously a leader of what the Iron Rack or whatever, the main faction of the Idneth Deepkin, has done some interesting things. Most notably, I think, in his story was when he led the IDK on an attack against Marathi,
Hmm.
and ended up fighting his way into the sort of, I guess, throne room where Marathi was.
Yeah, her seat of power.
Yes. A sort of unparalleled warrior type like Volturnus has his special mount. He's known as this just like unparalleled warrior king, Achillean king. And he then makes this really fascinating choice. Like narratively, I actually thought this was awesome. That he was like, Marathi talks to him and she doesn't like magically charm him or anything like that. She just does what Marathi does and cuts a deal with him to get the soul lantern so she can complete the last piece she needs, right? Because him being there was kind of all part of her
Yeah.
plan. And she wanted to, and then that was what let her ascend to
Yeah.
godhood, right?
So,
And he,
sorry, I broke your toy. I'll get you more souls.
yeah,
Okay. Plus, also got
exactly.
the coolest scene of Marathi completely covered in blood, and the only thing you can see is her eyes and her malicious smile. That's how
Yes,
she convinced him. I'm like, it's a pretty big threat.
yes. Um, but overall, obviously, this guy, he's
Volturnus.
neat,
Yep. Yep.
but he's neat, but like he's got to be a solid exists, right? He
Yeah.
had like a cool moment. It was fun. I like that they made the narrative choice to like capitulate. He did like the right thing for his people because that's what he cared about more than revenge. Like they did a good job of capturing his character, but for the most part, he's solidly in the exists category.
He
Like
does,
there you
which
go.
that's what the Ideneth want to do. They want
Yeah,
to exist and not be
right.
known. So I think that kind of fits the whole theme of him.
He's very meta, that guy. Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. Okay. Let's let the claw machine loose and see who we grab next. I am literally just grabbing one and seeing what it pulls over. Oh, okay, here we go. This is a fun one. Glutos. You can kind of blow him up there so everybody can see him. I had different interesting art of that, but Glutos or Scallion, the sort of gluttonous one, leader of the Hedonites of Slanesh of the mortal side. He was most notable for, I think, like the best story moment he had was showing up late to a fight that Sigvald had already won.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, for being such an impressive model and like often a cool centerpiece, and being an army I love, I'm not giving this guy any extra bonus points.
Mm-mm.
I'm sorry. I think he's like
He's who?
He's who.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah, 100%.
I, I I'm more excited for his little halfling companion that he has more than
Sure.
him.
Yeah. Yeah. Like they just he just I don't know. They've never really done anything with him. He always just kind of incidental in the few small stories he's in.
Yeah.
Okay. No, I don't want to do a second Slaanesh character. I'm throwing you back in the claw machine. I accidentally grabbed a second.
Mix it
Slaanesh
up some
character.
more. Shuffle a
Yeah,
deck.
exactly. Okay. Oh yeah, this will be a quick one. Uh, the Lady of Vines.
Oh.
So she is a named person from the Sylvaneth. And she showed up in a few stories, talked a little bit.
I mean, her coolest thing is her origin. She's literally the hand of Valerial. Valerial cut
Yes.
off, said, I need you.
Yep.
That's kind of cool. Yeah.
It's a cool origin story.
Yeah.
It's very like 10th Doctor.
Yeah. But there's a despite great model, I like her origin. I don't know if she has the Spear of Kurnos or if the other guy does, but yeah, it's down in who. I would listen to arguments of towing into exist, but I probably wouldn't agree with it.
That's right. No, I'm with you. It's like she's totally a who. Absolutely. Okay. All right. Let's go over here. Oh God. Okay. So next up, I put this together like yesterday, and so I forgot all the characters I grabbed. So I like surprise myself when I pull one over. Okay, Brock, Gunnarsson or whatever, the Lord Magnate of the Caradron Overlords, Mr. Mustache Guns himself.
Oh.
Okay. So he's like the capitalist in chief, as it were, leader of the sky fleets. He's like the owner of the biggest skyport or whatever, right? Or the lord of the biggest skyport, and balloon boy in chief. I cannot think of a single interesting thing I've ever read in a story that this guy has done. Mustache guns are super cool. I'm not like, look, that's cool. Okay. But I can't, that alone can't get you into the category. I'm sorry, Brock.
No, it's he's not the coolest dwarf, and he's not even the coolest Caradron.
Right. Yes.
Like,
we will talk about a cooler Caradron. I have another one in here. So, but
nice.
I mean, this guy's totally down in who. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Brock,
Don't build your balloons out of lead, and maybe you can float higher into exist next time.
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what we can do. Okay. All right. Kairos Fate Weaver. The two-headed one. One head sees the past. One head sees the future, but all he ever sees in the present is his own failure. I'm pretty sure, didn't he take Galmaraz to the face at some point in time? I think that's something he's notable for. Obviously, like a schemer, he was behind the creation of some of the original actual cities of Sigmar. His hand through some of his folks. He instigated the takeover of what I want to say takeover. He instigated the ultimately sort of the demise of one of the Dawnbringer Crusades, because he got one of them to through his servants to abandon, basically, like the military forces, to abandon the religious forces effectively. He's like, there's a lot of machinations and stuff that he's been loosely involved in.
He did orchestrate essentially the stealing of Galmaraz for the early part of the Sigmar setting too. He's the one that opened the portal, I believe. So there, he's done some cool stuff. But like you said, he always sees his failure.
Yes,
that's all he does.
He is like truly he is truly the most failing of all the villains. Like, it's so funny. He's the smartest. He's just like this genius ultra oracle. And when the time comes, everything falls apart for him every time. It's almost comical. He's the sort of Charlie Brown kicking the football of the AOS mortal world.
I'm trying to think. Wasn't there like a thumbnail image of like a Warhammer community article or something, and it had the 5 Chaos Gods when the Horned Rat came in, and there was like a logo over Zinch's face. I
Yeah,
think that
yeah,
kind of
exactly.
like, yeah, what? Like you exist, but I don't really know who you are. So like, I mean, I could see one head's in who, one head's in exists potentially, but I'm not really fighting to get out of who with him too much.
Yeah, I know. I know it was the Changeling who did it, but my understanding was like the Changeling was working at Kairos' direction. But anyways, doesn't matter. The I mean, he's got to go and exists, right? For a
He does
character
at
with
least
as
exist,
long
yeah.
of a history as he is, who's been involved in as many things as he is, he's just so actually not impactful because it's always like meta plan on meta scheme on scheme number 72, and it's just like, okay, man, look, learn from Corn a little, maybe just punch some people sometimes, right? Like,
Yeah.
do something.
He's forever sitting in the left hand lane with that turn signal on, and he's just not getting out of your way.
That's right. That's
It's like,
exactly
no,
right.
do something, please. Are you turning, please?
Rusted Toys, I'm not evaluating the model here. I'm just we're just doing the character. I'm trying to leave the model mostly out of it. Like
Because Usharon will
mostly.
be much lower.
Yeah, like if Ushron was in there, he'd be getting points down. But I'm not Rusted Toys. I'm not trying to rate the model. Just like who are their actual character here. Right? Like who's the character. Okay. Um because I think it's interesting their place in the world. If I had to go solely on model, boy, that would be a different list. Okay,
Yeah.
cool. Right on, Rusted Toys.
Thanks for the future show topic that Vince will do.
No, absolutely. Yeah, we've done a couple coolest models, and like, yeah, boy, would that look like a different list. Although somehow Prince Vorterai would still be in the same tier. Um, dumpster that guy no matter what's going on. Okay, the Glotkin. That's who this is. Piece of art
Ooh.
there. Cool piece of art. The Glotkin obviously has been around since the old world, but I mean, to be fair, he was like an end times introduction
Yeah.
in the old world. Most notably, I think in the end times, he sacked
Altdorf.
Altdorf. Yes, exactly.
Hmm.
Um,
Still hurts, Vince. It still hurts.
I understand. That was a good story. I liked that one. That
That
was
was a good
actually a
story. Yeah,
pretty
he
cool one.
yeah, he's always been well, they've always been a well-written character. That said though, like I'm kind of at a like I like the Glockkin. I don't know what the Glockkin has been doing in Age of Sigmar.
I can think of like maybe one time where they got mentioned in one of the narrative books, and I don't remember even what they did. It's so minimal. Warpstone Enjoyer, like we said, like the old world lore can count a little, but it'll be under strict scrutiny of whether it
Hmm.
matters, right? Like it has to be something pretty awesome to
Yeah.
to be like okay, or connected, because this is going to come up with Manfred, obviously, right? Like
Yeah. Yeah.
it's that in that case it's an old world story, but it's obviously pretty importantly connected in there, right? So if you like, I'll wait the end times a little more, basically,
Fair.
right?
Fair.
Um. So at any rate, yeah, I mean they're like, I got to be honest with you, man. They live and exist for me in actual character coolness. Like they are a neat concept, but what a waste of what they've done. Like
Yeah.
I don't.
Like I think that the thing to like just compare it to, like it's old world again, but like that sack of Altdorf, like seeing what the Glockkin did
Mm-hmm.
was nightmarish.
Yeah.
I've not seen a lot of nightmare stuff in Sigmar since the setting's a little bit more high fantasy, which is fine. But the fact that he just doesn't have a presence, like
Right.
I wish I could go
We've
to a map
done
and be like,
Nurgle centric stories, and he wasn't
yeah,
part of them.
like
That's what's crazy about it.
he could show up and be a force to sack a important city if he wanted to, or at least cause some big harm, or he's probably just roaming around accidentally killing Dawnbringer crusades that we don't even know about.
Tell you what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna give him a little. I gotta give him a little toe into cool, or them. Sorry, I gotta give them a little
Yeah.
toe into cool because despite the complete waste, it'd be minimal, but it's there. Character wise, the three of them, like it is just such a cool concept. I
Hmm.
feel like if we didn't have them at least partially in cool, we would be betraying just the quality of the idea and the coolness of their old world introduction. So that gets
Yeah,
them in, that gets them hanging on into cool for me just
they're
some.
they're probably one narrative story where they're at least a chapter and a narrative supplement away from being fully into cool. Like it's there's no negatives here. It's just
Right.
that they aren't around.
Yeah, I agree. Okay. All right. Vandus Hammerhand. Oh boy. Okay. Vandus Hammerhand. Where to even begin with this guy? All right. So Vandus is the first basically Stormcast we see. Like the vanguard of Vanguard that lightning bolts down from the hand of Sigmar
The
into the
very
mortal
first one
realms.
to touch
Yes.
touch actually.
That's right. The very first one to lay foot on action soil. To draw blood in a fight against the forces of Khorne, right?
Hmm.
And has shown up many times since then. But I'll skip a lot of that. Has a deep hatred of Corgus Cull. Has been like hunting Corgus Cull across. And most recently, Vandus' story ended very sadly, as he got into a sort of final, like as he's always seen the Lightning Man and this stuff. Like he knew his end was coming.
Hmm.
Just like his own madness sort of gripped at the edge of his sanity for a long time. And he at the end of his sort of life after his reforgings, he sort of gave in to his madness, and despite the warnings from Ionis, went and chased Cull down and was unable, like, and that fight is a really crazy fight to read, because
Oh
if you
yeah.
read the fight, Cull is the one who's calm and is just like, oh, I don't care about this anymore, you're not worth it to me anymore, and like who leaves, and Corgus goes and kills the other Lord Celestins, and Vandus gets, basically trapped amongst just wave after wave after wave of Khorne blood warriors and blood reavers that he's just like killing his way through. He's just crushing these things and Skull. And in that moment, like, I honestly, he's more the Khorne character than Corgus is at that moment.
Hmm.
And that's when Corgus ascends, and then Vandus gets buried and
He
killed.
technically, I mean, he's fallen in a way.
Yeah,
He's now locked into the tower by Ionis.
that's right. And then
Um,
that reforging broke him, and he could no longer be reforged anymore. Like his soul was so distended or whatever from that fury and that hatred that he couldn't be reforged. And he's now he's locked away as one of the sort of tormented that hasn't been executed yet. And Ionis is obviously hoping to get him a cure. So he's at a very sad point in his story. Whether or not it's the end of him, I don't know. But it's certainly like a heck of an arc.
yeah.
From being like the paragon of virtue and sort of the champion of all things Sigmar, to having to be locked away in a dungeon to protect him from himself effectively, and hurting his friends. At any rate, I mean, he is sort of like, to me, one of the most iconic Stormcast. He's been involved in like a million narrative
Yeah.
stories over the ages.
Yep.
Uh, the guy is definitely cool. Like he just is.
He to
Um,
me, I can't place him anywhere other than exactly where we placed Corgus,
yeah,
because he is just that opposite coin. And I mean, who knows, like where the story will lead, but we assume Corgus will come back as whatever demon prince he becomes. That's what it's looking like. He'll rampage for a couple editions, and then maybe they'll find the cure, and Vandus will come back as like the true counter to him in full again, and rise back up to meet his level. So their stories are so tied. I'm
yeah,
glad that they didn't make them accidental brothers at some point, because that'd be
sure.
just a little too anime cliche. But I think he's right where Cool's at.
I'm with that. I'm with that. I think that's right. All right, chat. By the way, I see lots of different opinions. I love it. Keep those different opinions coming.
Hmm.
Keep that going. Thank you to everybody who's throwing out your own ideas, helping us here, and telling us about other beats we might have missed or stuff like that. Yeah, I would love a Vandus Cole rematch in their ascended forms. I agree, Dadwad.
Hmm.
Don't
Hmm.
forget,
Hmm.
hit like and do all those things. Keep them chats coming, and don't forget to super chats there if you want. Okay. I'm not above voting somebody up if you throw dollars at it. I can be bought. All right. Let's keep going. Okay, who's next? Who's next? I don't want to
For
do that one.
Stormcast to touch grass, that was good.
All right. Here's a fun one. Cato, last name very difficult to pronounce. Cato Echezar, the named vampire lord, super cool looking dude, came out around the same time as sort of Scary Village, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fun model. Yep, all good stuff.
Yep. I have nothing else to say about him because I cannot think of anything cool he did.
He has a book about him to
Okay.
introduce him.
How is his book? I didn't read his book. Okay. What is it? How's his book?
I didn't read his book, so I'm hoping someone in the chat can tell me what his book was.
All right, chat. We're gonna rely on you. So this is Cato Echezar. Did you read the book? If you read the book, how good was the book? Because that's basically, I think, what's going to determine where this character goes.
Yeah. To me, too, this character came in to fill a void left from Manfred becoming a slightly more important character in the hierarchy.
Yeah.
He's the new Manfred as like random vampire that's known enough to do something, but not quite powerful enough to actually do something.
Okay.
Which is fine. I said I'm a fan of these, sub heroes. So.
No, I agree. We got a lot of people said his book is really good. Let's brooding anti-hero detective. Book good and cool. It's like a noir-esque detective conspiracy story. Holy crap! I need to read this.
We need to read this book. All right,
what
put him in cool.
That? What?
He's for sure in cool now.
Holy crap!
I thought it would just be random vampire nonsense for 150 pages.
Although he always falls into traps, low wisdom stats. That's very funny.
That's fun.
Harold and Manway coming in saying Cato exists. I read both his books. He wasn't very interesting. Oh, a slightly different opinion there. Okay.
Okay. And he has 2 books.
I mean, I do love a vampire detective. I'm not going to lie. That sounds awesome. And one that's constantly falling into traps does sound fun.
Yeah.
Manzak says how much to get Skillet to the top.
$20.
I don't know. I don't want to make anybody donate that amount of money, Manzak, that would take for me to compromise that much of my values. You
need to buy the model, build and paint. I think it's not a legal model right now, is it?
Oh, I don't even know.
I don't know. Whether you have to proxy it, you need to play it for an entire year, and we'll move it up.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. All right. You know what? You sold me. We're gonna have him here a little bit in between cool and exists. I'll take the advice of the chat. He'll be mostly in cool.
Okay. And I'm probably gonna go pick up that book just to give it a read.
Yeah, vampire detective story, fighting chaos. That sounds amazing. All right, well I need to read that book. All right, cool. Okay. Let's do a controversial one, shall we, Chuck? I've had this one in the tank, and I'm just gonna pull it up here because it's been staring at me.
Okay.
Tyrion. I mean, do I need to explain who Tyrion is, right? Tyrion is the brother of Teclis, one of the 2 leaders of the Lumineth Realm Lords, the martial side of the brothers. Tyrion is blind, and Teclis is his eyes. Obviously a character that stretches back millennia upon millennia, well into the old world. His story in the end times is just the heelest of heel turns, wielding the sword of Cain and getting together with Marathi and all sorts of other stuff. Certainly if we were gonna if we wait any end time stuff in here, that's a lot. But I've got a problem. I put Tyrion in here, okay? And I'm gonna tell you right now, Chuck, my initial instinct, despite this character, is to drop him into who? Because we are 10 years in, and this dude still hasn't showed up. What's going on?
Hold on. Before you even do anything, I have to call something out.
Okay.
I will send you a picture of Tyrion. You always use a Narian the Defender who would be in pure Chad in every universe. But I'm not going to disagree with you being in who. I will send you a nice picture of Tyrion. I've used a
picture of Tyrion before, and I used a Narian the Defender before. Oh my god, that's so funny. You're right. You're absolutely right.
I'm raw anxiously waiting Tyrion. I mean, he's done some cool stuff in the whole primordial setup. He stared at Hyish, the being, and went blind. It's cool. But who? He has not done anything. And then he'll come out when he comes out. But yeah, right now, I as a high elf lover, I cannot say anything but who with him.
it's shocking to me that we've gone this long. Like, he is name dropped and mentioned and like shows up in the story in the original narrative of like the world forming when the gods are all still fighting each other in the Age of Myth, right? He controls half of Haish. Like, he is, we've seen his lieutenant in what's his name, Lirathor or whatever, who by the way is not on this list. Like, that guy, I was not sorry, that dude did not make the cut to show up in this list. I could only rocket so many people instantly into literal who.
Right. I think outside of that story, he appeared in one of those vignettes. I think
where all the
leading
elves
up
get together and talk about Slanesh.
Yeah, that's it.
Yep. Yes.
And like I said, he's gonna be real a contender for cool and pure chat almost immediately, I bet. But
how do we not have him yet? How do we
know.
not have him? We had like 3 Lumineth releases, right? Didn't get any Tyrannic forces. It's crazy to me. Because this is the actual side of LRL I thought could have been interesting. And yet, here we are.
The closest we have, if you look at the banner bearer for the Lumineth, half of it's clearly techless.
Yeah.
With I'm drawing a blank on Teclis's mount. Oh my gosh.
Selenar.
And the other one is clearly Tyrion, who's riding some dragon phoenix looking beast from the silhouette. That's going to be amazing.
Right. I want to see the Phoenix Dragons. Yes, exactly. Like, oh my God. They kind of mentioned, they made offhand mention to that, right? Yes. Where? When? For now? Who? Okay. All right. Ooh, this should be a controversial one. Neferata. So the Mortarch of blood. Nephi is obviously very important. The first vampire, going all the way back to the priesthood of them, sort of stealing the secrets of eternal life from priest Nagash, right? And then, but her screwing it up because she wasn't as good of a necromancer and turning herself into a vampire. So that's like going way back.
Way deep back, yep.
And then, surviving all the way through. Her end time story was like legit amazing. Like, I really, really loved it. God in heaven, like, man, it was so good. Like, all the way through to her like jumping through the portal to sort of escape the exploding world and everything, right?
Yep.
And then in AOS times, she showed up in many stories. She was Usharon's partner. In the whole like delusion and wine and poisoning Hammerhall.
You have a super chat, Vince.
Oh yes, absolutely. Kevin Levine, thank you very much. Here for your hard work, and to buy a spot to my Queen Marathi to pure Chad. Very nice. Okay, awesome. We will get to her in not too long.
Don't worry, I will not be biased on her.
No, I'm sure we'll all be good. Yeah, rip Khalida. I agree, Tomb King Tristan. Khalida was the
Khalida. I wish Khalida would make a comeback somehow.
God, I know. I mean, obviously, yes, but and yes, Tomb King Tristan, I absolutely do. So at any rate, so she took part in that story. I mean, she's been involved in like basically any of the narratives where death shows up. She actually has a pretty major hand in things that are going on. She's had some good interactions and stuff like that.
More importantly, she has a lieutenant of herself that is in the story and on the table, which is a pretty big deal.
Right.
Like, she's doing what she does of having those little fingers out everywhere with her folks, and now it's being represented physically as well as spiritually in the story. So I think that does go a long way. That exists now.
I agree. So I mean, we've got a character who's been involved in a lot of stuff. She has had narrative impact. She's not the coolest Mortarch. I think that's. I am gonna say right now, I think her like beats per minute or whatever is still lower than Oosh. But for me, she's definitely in cool with a little bit up into pure Chad. Like, she's just got such a history. She's done so many things. She's involved in a lot of stuff. She gets some really cool individual narrative moments in the story, especially when dealing with the other Mortarchs. There's a couple of scenes with like her and other Mortark name who's a total jerk, whose name just fled my mind.
Manfred?
Thank you. Yeah, it's like
Okay.
his M name. Yeah, like there's a couple of really great scenes with her and Manfred.
Yeah.
That
I mean,
are
they
that are.
fight in one of the Broken Realms books.
Yep.
They clash because it's like, nope, we're not doing like they're trying to stop each other
Yeah.
while still fulfilling their Nagash's will in an essence, which is pretty fun.
Absolutely.
Yeah, she's touching Chad. I don't disagree at all.
100%. All right, there you go. That I feel good about that one. Neffy,
Mm-hmm.
absolute queen. Way to go. Okay, cool. Let's see. We'll grab one of these. Okay, so here I've grabbed Morbidex Twiceborn, but really it's a stand-in for Morbidex, Bloab, and Orgots. Okay, so the three named they're not called Blight Lords, Magath Lords. There we go. We got there. They have done nothing since coming over from the old world and have not been relevant, other than one of them shows up in one of the I shouldn't say nothing. One of them does show up in one of the Nurgle Stormcast Sylvaneth stories early on in there.
Yeah, what does he do?
Chases somebody and then fails.
Perfect. Who again?
That's right. Yep, down you go. Who? Okay. Yeah, I agree.
Like I my unnamed Stormcast here, my unnamed High Gladiatrix will look at this and go, "Yeah, I'll fight you. It's no problem. I got you. I got this."
Sure. All right. Oh, here we go. This one actually is pretty good. Okay. So here we have Nave Black Talon. So the hunter, the vanguard extraordinaire, shows up all over the place in a bunch of different stories. Has a really cool squad of other cool named heroes with her, including an IDK priestess or whatever.
Soul Scryer.
Soul Scryer, thank you. Yes, couldn't think of the name.
I got you.
She got her own animated series on Warhammer Plus.
I'm gonna say this. I subscribe to Warhammer Plus, and I just leave it running. You can call me a shill. That's fine. That's fine. I'm not gonna refute it because I get my model. It is worth signing up for Warhammer Plus and watching the Black Talon series for a month. It is the best thing on Warhammer Plus. I love it.
Okay.
It's a good story. It's well animated, and they're like 23-minute long episodes. It is worth it.
Very nice. So where are you putting her based on that? I have not watched the animated series. I've read the stories where she shows up, and she always, I thought she was awesome in the stories. Has a good character. Where's she going?
Even it's hard to say because it's hard to pull her away from the characters because the characters that surround her also very much define her.
Like, we'll give her a little credit for having good friends. That's fine. Just like we gave Korgus a little credit for having a dog. But
yeah, I'm putting her pure and cool.
Okay.
But like dead center. She's not touching Chad. She's not close to that level yet. But she is well past exists. Yeah, she is pure cool, and I love her story. I have not read her latest novel yet. I tried to buy it when it was hardback. I missed it. I haven't picked it up on paperback yet. But yeah, she is pure cool for me.
Very good. I support that 100%. I have no pushback. No pushback at all. Okay, let's see who we got about here. Okay. The Mask. The Mask is a named character out of Slaanesh that has been cursed to dance eternally for all time because of their offense to Slaanesh. And
if only we were talking rules and models on this list.
Yep, if only, huh? If only.
Yeah.
So we're just gonna go ahead and drop that down into who?
Yep. Sadly.
Because yep, you got to do something in a story to get up into exists.
Yeah.
Okay. Sad. I do love the Mask. Yes, as you said, if we were talking models and rules, that's one where there'd be a big deviation.
This list is completely different.
Yes. Okay. Let's do a fun one here. And this big boy who's been hiding out for a while. Well, bam! Trug, the Trog Herd King. So Trug the Deus Ex Trollina, who shows up, gets woken up accidentally in the Dawnbringer stories, and then proceeds to Hector the Hammerhall Akshi uh, column of the Crusade
The
for a
Dawnbringer.
long time,
Yep.
causes a ton of casualties, catches on fire, gets attacked 100 times, just continues to perpetually regenerate, and is basically just a little angry force of nature walking around. Um, I did I miss anything there?
No, I'm really not afraid, but I know for certain he's like right now he's probably going to be in exists for me. He
Yeah.
just did some important stuff. In 6 to 12 months' time, he's going to be in a solid who. Because his where's the story going to go? He's a troll.
Right.
He's a tool to use to drive the story, and if the story is not going to be where he's at, it gets a little wonky. Constantly throwing him where you need to have him.
Oh, I love how they keep having the one dude just like open a portal or whatever, a gate, so he can like walk through and cause trouble somewhere else, and then like portal him
Yeah.
back. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, again, it's fun, but it's just he's a hurricane. He has no actual character,
Yeah.
right? He's just an angry hurricane running around. It's not that he's not dangerous. It's not that he doesn't progress, but like you could have replaced him. Here's the test, right? In the story, you could have replaced him with like
Random Beastman army.
well no, like a literal just blob of energy roaming around like a storm, okay, like a big storm
Oh.
that was coming, and it would have amounted to about the same thing, like a sort of living spell or something like that, right? And it would have amounted to about the same thing, right?
Yep.
It's he exists. He's been heavily featured in a bunch of stuff, but he's not a character. He doesn't make choices. He's not he doesn't have like goals other than to stop the pain in his head from the rock that's on the back of
Hmm.
him, right?
Right.
Like and so like, it's I'm keeping him out of who because,
He still did
it's
something
neat. He did
recent.
stuff.
Yeah.
He did stuff that gets him in exists.
Plus, he annoyed the lady that likes the wheel too much.
He
That's always a
which
win in my book.
Oh, I'm moving him up just slightly because of that. There we go. Okay. You just moved up like a half step. All right.
Perfect.
Okay. All right. Let's see. Who's hiding back here? Let's see who this is. Ah, Sigvald, the
Ooh.
vainglorious one. Again, a character that goes well back in time to the old world. He and his perfect face eventually got punched to death by what's his name?
Oh, the
The
Chaos
troll.
Troll.
Yes, the chaos
Mm.
troll. I can't remember his name either. Who then peed on him after he killed him.
Yep. Yep.
That did all happen after he had defeated the White Lord. Obviously, Sigvald had defeated the White Lord there in combat. In the AOS world, he was missing for a long time. They kind of made passing reference to him when they talked about when one of the KO found this mirror with like the most sort of vain one in the world trapped within it, or something like that is how they referenced it. And then eventually he gets brought back. Some years back, he returned to the story.
Yep. And it was Throg that was the Chaos Troll. Just to put
Throg.
that out there.
There you go. Good stuff. Yeah. Oh yes, thank you. A couple people said it in the chat. Thank you very much.
Oh,
Anyway.
nice.
Um, and his most sort of notable thing was he killed a lot of Fire Slayers. He showed up in what series was that? Was that Broken Realms? I think it was Broken Realms. He shows.
I think it
up
was
in.
Broken Realms. I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and like he kills his way through a whole Fire Slayer lodge and stuff like that. That's kind of at the same time they introduced Gludos, obviously. Yeah, he has a lot of character himself throughout his history as sort of this vainglorious one and this perfect swordsman and unwilling to ever sort of like yield. He sees himself as so perfect and stuff like that. But admittedly, they have not really done much with this guy. He's done a few
It's
little things, and that's about it.
Yeah, and it's a problem too because how do you write him? He's such a maybe it's the wrong term, but nebulous character where, like, if I think of the most notable old world story with him, sorry, is he was fighting some high elves. He killed one and saw their blood run red. He's like, that reminds me of this specific one, and he just leaves. And then Slanesh is happy to support that because he is perfect. That just because he's aloof and goes wherever his whims take him, I don't know how you give him better agency to give him like a higher standing on our tier list as far as the coolness level goes. I hesitate to put him in pure who.
Yeah, I don't think that's too low. Yeah. I think he's just in exists. He's got a lot of potential. Character-wise, he's interesting. Like, he does, again, like, he actually has a character. He makes choices. He makes decisions, but we don't get to see much of that. So I'm going to put him down here because, again, cool concept, but poorly executed. That's what I would say. So, yeah, we'll put him about right there.
Fair.
That's fine. Okay. All right. Let's see here. Oh, okay. Cool. This is a fun one. Dryka Hamadryad. Sorry. So angry. Dryka is the leader of the sort of gloomy Sylvaneth, the angry ones. They have a name and it escapes me, but it's where the Spite Revenants are part of. She, again, has showed up in a couple stories. She has her cool, like, bee power armor. She has been, at times, completely opposed to Alariel in a few of the stories and Alariel's ends, and sometimes ends up deciding to do what Alariel wants and kind of gets called to heel. But she has a sort of standoffish relationship with her boss, I guess, I suppose. She is the scary side of the woods, and so has showed up in a couple of like city stories outside of in Gyran-based city stories, where she ends up being the villain, who is upset at the humans, and so comes and kills some of them before being sort of driven away or that kind of thing. But for the most part, she's been like a moderate player, I suppose, overall.
Her coolest aspect is the fact that Alariel hesitated for so long to pull her out. And don't forget there's that whole thing Alariel did that the Sylvaneth can't remember for some reason that I'm pretty sure Drycha probably remembers.
Yes. Yeah. That's why she's angry. Yeah, that's correct. Right. Yeah. She knows Alariel's secret. Yeah.
Now that we're still 20 years away when we have End Times Age of Sigmar, whenever they pull that thread out, probably, if we follow the 30-year cycle. But outside that, she exists.
I agree.
For me.
She exists.
That's it.
Yep.
Like, she's going to be an important character, marginally important, as things go on and on, I feel.
Yep.
But
solely
for the Sylvaneth realm.
That's right. Scar Bloodwrath. Can't die. Kill him, comes back, just keeps fighting. Had a very fun scene in the fighting on the edge of the Wood Elves woods outside of Bretonia in the End Time story, where he just kept coming back over and over again and getting like trebuchet or whatever in the face. Has done literal nothing in Age of Sigmar and is perhaps the definition of literal who, like many of these Khorne characters.
Yeah, there's too many Khorne characters to give any of them a true spotlight, other than maybe like a select few.
Yeah,
but yeah, he could be real cool. But yeah, he's an old world character they brought over. They don't know what to do with him.
Yep. Agreed. All right. Next up. Oh, okay. This is a fun one. Ella. The twins. The new twins, I guess, or whatever. The fraternal twins, as it were.
Yes.
Yeah, Ella, from whatever they're called, like their actual full names,
Eleanor and Alaria, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
but whatever.
Ella.
Ella, yes. I've called them that so many times I literally don't remember their actual name anymore, which probably has a statement on their character. But at the same time, Ella and Ella do show up in several of the new stories. They get featured. They are the ones they're like heavily involved in both Broken Realms and Dawnbringers, no, that's right. I think that's right. They showed up at the end of Broken Realms, and then they're heavily involved in Dawnbringers. They, where they are like sort of jumping around and riding the winds of fate and stuff like that. Their coolest narrative moment to me recently, or that I think of all the times they interacted, like they did a lot of little things, pushing people around, getting in interesting fights and stuff. But the sort of coolest thing for me is they are the current keepers of the Phoenicium's Phoenix Spark.
Yeah, the last spark. Yep.
The last spark. Yes, they're the ones who hold that when
That
Phoenicium was wiped out.
they're the they're the closest. I think. Well, maybe they're outside of Stormcast. They are just elves. There's
Right.
nothing else special about them other than they are really good at what they are and they have that connection.
Yeah.
And Tyrion and Teclis saw this and gifted them, I think, the staff and the sword,
That's
maybe a
right.
few other small trinkets. So they're recognized by their gods, even though they aren't like Stormcast, who are turned into something better, or a demon character, or like Mortal that got demon powers. Like, to me, that at least gets them up into, like, I want to say they're cool. Like, not fully, but like that recognition alone is pretty neat. And let's not forget, they used to be capable in every Order army until we got rid of that great mechanic.
Yeah. Yeah, like they, you know what's funny to me? They feel the most like D&D characters to me. Like this is two people. This feels like two people's D&D characters, right? Like if
Yeah.
you see the way they get used in a story, they feel like D&D characters. The way they go around and like the way they escape danger and the fights they get into and the way they like prod the story along. They feel like they're D&D characters to me. Like I would like playing in the campaign where I'm playing one of the two of them, right? That
You get
seems like a
them
fun
with
campaign.
you get them with Dreki and Kato. You have a nice little party system going
Sure,
here.
absolutely.
You got range DPS, you got a tank, you got a healer.
Exactly. You got the wizard. You're all set.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I think they border the line between cool and exists. I think
Yeah.
that's where they belong. We could do more with them, but they've showed up in a lot of places and done some interesting things. So yeah, I'm with that.
Cool.
Right on. Okay. Let's see. Who is next? Sure, we'll just grab him. It's King Broad. King Broad from the Sons of Behemoth. Named giant, leads them, gets angry sometimes. Killed well, didn't kill him. Sort of did, I guess. I don't know. Got in an epic final battle with Gardas Steel Soul with one of the coolest pieces of art where Gardas is like leaping off the tower and smashing Broad in the face, right?
Yep.
Before ultimately getting crushed and killed, and no one knows where Gardas is. As there was, his soul should have went back, but it didn't.
I think the storm was going on technically sort of nearby. So it's maybe he's there, maybe he's not.
Who knows? But yeah, for the most part, again, just kind of like a force of destruction kind of thing. He did have this sort of grudge with the Beasts of Chaos. That's not going to mean anything. That is true. I mean, he showed up. He hasn't done that much. This guy exists, right? I mean, that's what he is.
Yeah. I mean, I'd suggest even towing him in Who a little bit, but
yeah. No, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay. Well, we're getting down to some. I'm pulling some. I've been like kind of pulling some minor ones around, because I want to save us for some real fun ones here. All right, here we go. Horticulus Slimex. It's the guy who rides snails.
Yeah.
And he makes trees.
That's cool, bro.
Mm-hmm. Whoop. Just gonna go ahead and slide him down here into Who. Cool idea.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Yep.
Right. Okay, let's do one that I think is gonna yield some interesting discussion here. So, I don't know which name to use, but Torgilius or Tor whatever, the Redeemed.
Tornus the Redeemed. Yep.
Yes, Tornus the Redeemed. Very. I mean, like, look, this is a cool story.
Oh,
this
absolutely.
dude who was resisted Nurgle, but then fell to Nurgle, but then like repented or whatever and dies.
Well,
and
the repentance story is great. The Selznut Prime hit him with Gal Maraz, and Gal Maraz can cleanse a soul when it kills the body.
Yes.
And Sigmar saw the resilience he had in him before he fell, and pulled him up and made him Tornus the Redeemed.
Yes.
Real quick, that's a side note, man. What if Archeon gets hit with Galmaraz and dies? What if? What if? Sorry, that's rent free in my brain. That thought process, just playing that out.
Did you ever watch The Good Place?
Oh yeah.
Okay. So you know Mindy in The Medium Place, right? I mean, I'll try to do this as spoiler free as possible for people who haven't watched that, right? But you know, like she was basically terrible her whole life, and then like she has this like really awesome idea, writes it down to this like this hugely impactful charitable thing that's gonna like actually materially change thousands and thousands of people's lives. She like writes it down and then steps out and dies in traffic, like gets hit by a bus, right? And so because of that, when they weighed it, she ends up in The Medium Place. Yeah, that's this guy. It's like at that last moment, they're like, whap. Oh, okay, I take back.
Yeah.
No,
I'm glad.
agree.
I'm glad he got his own model too. I think his story was deserving of it, because it's more important. It's like the Lumineth. People forget Lumineth can clone people. All right, let's not forget that. Yes. So, Galmaraz can redeem, and Tornus is the flying, walking, whatever you can call it, example of that. And that, but he hasn't done much.
He hasn't, but nonetheless, I'm still saying this dude's pure cool. He's cool.
I'm fine with that.
He's just cool, because that is a cool story. One of the things I love about it is it's emblematic of the hope in the mortal realms, right?
Yes.
That this isn't a world of just darkness and depravity and death. That there is hope. It might be small, it might be rare, it might be a spark that you've got to kindle, but it's there, right? And I love that. That's one of the reasons I love this world so much.
And he's a symbol too of, I don't want to say Sigmar, but like that Azir's ability and like the Winds of Magic's ability to cleanse chaos, like it can happen. Like we've seen it in the old world with, Lariel and other casters, but this is just the magic. I don't want to say it's Sigmar granting him redemption. I think Galmaraz and what Galmaraz represents with the infusion of Azir is what cleansed it, and then Sigmar took his soul because Sigmar wanted the soul. But that's a cool thing of hope. That's a cool piece that doesn't exist anywhere else in this setting, and he's the embodiment of it. So
I agree. Yep. All right. Silesk. Sil and Eski. Or is it
man, what a cool man.
I know, right? Look, Silesk have not done many things narratively. I'm just going to be straight with you, okay? Yeah. But I am going to die on the hill that they belong in cool, and I will try right now to sell the audience and you as to why.
Before you even do that, I'm going to agree with you and let you ramble. I will die on this hill with you because it's the greatest love story in the mortal realms as I sit here listening to My Tears Ricochet by Taylor Swift in the background of this. So please, after you, Vince.
That's exactly correct. Look, like, they are legitimately in love with each other, okay? Like, it's weird and twisted, and certainly they're both evil, irredeemable beings, okay? But in all the small mentions that they get, like if you read in the Slaanesh book and these other things where they talk about the two of them, like their actual care for each other is real. And it's fascinating, like, to paint beings that are sort of obsessed with depravity and evil and excess, but to also have this side where they actually like truly do care about each other, love each other, and like protect each other and fight for each other is just a weird quirk to give to your like murder faction, right? That's, I guess it's not the murder faction, but to your, I don't know, excess
go
violence
fast,
faction, whatever you want to call it. Yeah. Whatever you want to define Slaanesh as. They don't know how to define Slaanesh either. Yeah. These two characters, I'm willing to like bank them partially into exist or something maybe, but ultimately I think they are cool and mostly cool because they represent a really unique narrative beat in the story that you just don't see. Like they could have done this with other things, like give them interesting quirks that make them stand out, that make them that goes against the grain, right? And it shows that like it shows sort of a fullness of being that you don't often get portrayed in a lot of these chaos characters, right?
Yeah, so. I mean, look at Ilariel right now. She wants Kurnos back. She wants the love. These two have what literal gods in this setting are after.
Yeah,
I will refuse to say that their touching exists. They're purely and cool because it's a unique narrative beat, and they're the types of things that like I cling on to. Like if I look at 40K, for example, not to go on a tangent, there's one story beat in 40K I love, and that's the Inari, because it took this whole setting of blah of it's miserable and gave you one tiny spark of hope. I don't care it's for like one specific group of beings. There's some hope in that setting, and I clung on to it. There's love in Age of Sigmar.
that's
You
right.
better believe I'm gonna grab hold of that and hang on because I'm here for it.
I'm with you. All right, there you go. You can hate on that if you want, chat, but it's just a cool story.
Do you hate love,
So
chat? Is that what you're saying? Do you hate love?
that's right.
Okay, sorry.
Like they read their stuff in the Slanesh books. I will say it's pretty awesome. So at any rate, okay. Next up, what I actually think is the better Caradron Overlord's character. We finally got there. Drakey Flint.
Yeah.
Like Drakey's pretty cool. Again,
He's-
shows
yeah.
up in a lot of stories. Has a cool boat. Like has a cool whip that he drives around.
Yep.
Yeah, like, and he's the one who had Drakey had Grungy in his crew for a while.
Yep.
Who recognized the talent of this I guess he's an admiral technically or whatever, but
I mean, he's anti-establishment. He just kind of does his own thing. He's
Mhm.
more pirate.
Yes.
Like he's very much allowing the bending of those codes and those laws, which I love because it kind of takes that concept of the Caradron who bend and break it themselves, and he's just like, oh, what if I go farther and throw it at you guys? Like I love that. It's fun.
Yeah, I haven't read the Drakey books. I am to understand that they were pretty good as well. But just from what I've read of where he showed up in the stories where I've seen him, I thought he was cool. Like just straight story, cool pirate sky dwarf. It's actually the kind of character I wanted out of that faction, which is another thing that is worth mentioning, right? Like when you have sort of the idea and the concept of a faction, but that's amorphous, right? It has to be made real through the narrative of some kind of character you can actually grab onto. I think that matters a lot, right? And I think Drakey is actually that character for Caradron Overlords. Like you get these, capitalist code following, sky piratical dwarves or whatever, and it's like, oh yeah, that's a neat concept. But then Drakey actually like makes it real, right? In a fun way. So yeah. I'm gonna put him down here. I'm just gonna let him touch Pure Chad just a little bit for being awesome enough that the dwarven god was like, you know what? I see you.
Love it.
Okay. Right on. Let's see. Where should we go next? Here, we'll pick. What's this over here? Oh, I forgot I had him in here.
Oh no. Oh no.
It's so
Who we
funny.
got?
All right, Lotan. He's got a squid. That squid's got a knife.
Oh, the memer in me wants to just throw him in pure Chad.
Just Pure Chad, absolutely, of course. Just top of the pile.
Top of the pile.
Yeah.
I don't know what he's done at all, but he's still cool in my mind.
Sure.
Like he Like
He does have a pet. Pets are cool.
I don't feel like he should be on the battlefield. I think he's just like doing something, taking notes, like doing the inventory for the army, and then just like
he's
a battle starts, he's like,
you should not be out here.
He's like, oh, there's another battle. Why am I gonna keep winding up in this? I'm just trying to get you guys supplies.
Like, have you played the Song of Ice and Fire or whatever game? You have like your whatever they're called, like NCOs or whatever. Your people who are on the side, like who do like orders and commands or whatever, but aren't like participating in the fight. That's what this guy would be.
Yeah.
Right. In reality, he shouldn't be out there fighting.
Yeah. He just winds up in the battle, and thankfully he's got an octopus who just likes to bap things in the head.
Yeah, he's got like a stick and a knife. I mean, nonetheless, I think this guy has to be breaching exists and who. Like, I'll let him breach into exists a little bit, and that's because of the octopus.
Yeah. Still, I
Yes,
love
if we were
Lotan.
just rating the octopus alone, like an octopus with a knife, absolutely pure chat. Like that's what's the character. My character is octopus with a knife.
Yeah, that you
Uh,
know that octopus is going to an RPG adventure and eventually will kill God.
yes, 100% through the power of friendship, of course.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
All right, Reichner the Grimhaler does show up in quite a few narratives. Most recently, his most recent appearance was in Dawnbreaker's Crusade, where he pops out of a and fights the Hammerhall Akshi force, led by what's her name, the
Wheel lady.
Pontifex. Yes,
Sinestra.
Pontifex.
Yeah.
I forgot her. I just, as we were talking, I literally remembered that I forgot to put Pontifex Sinestra in here. So sorry, everybody. I don't have her in here, but
That's
I don't
okay.
miss her because
I would
hate her.
dumpster. I would dumpster her so far out, Vince. It would be
Yeah,
no.
we
Yeah.
couldn't be anything but biased against her, so that's fine.
Yeah.
Um, so but at any rate, he shows up and then gets like, she effectively kills herself. Pseudo, not really, but like she burns a bunch of her power, knocking, expelling him, as it were.
He shows up as a tool to set up knowledge for us to know what Sinestra is all about.
Yeah.
That I I think he's a who. Personally.
Yeah. I mean, he's showed up in a couple stories. That's the only thing that makes me say he should partially breach exists.
That's fine. I mean he does exist.
He is in some stories.
Yeah. Fair.
That's a low bar, but it happened. Okay. I've held off long enough. I can be restrained no longer.
Oh boy.
Karanak. I'm sorry, Gareth, if you already left. He probably did, but if he's still here, Gareth, sound off. Karanak. He's a dog. He's got 3 heads.
He summons more dogs.
He summons more dogs. I am completely torn because, by all accounts, this guy belongs in Who. Look, it just does. Okay?
Yeah.
That's the reality. If we are to be unbiased judges in any way, he belongs in Who. But he's a dog with 3 heads that summons other dogs. He's a good boy.
Yeah.
And I'm finding it really hard not to put him in cool. Because he's good.
I mean, yeah, he's let's agree he's at least at the top of exists. Does he touch cool is the question.
That's right. That's right. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna do something special for Karanak, just because he's so singular. What we're gonna do is we're gonna shrink him real down small. Okay.
Yeah,
but I'm just gonna put him up here in the corner. He doesn't even get us. He doesn't belong in the list. He can't be quantified. Instead, he watches the list. He helps us judge the list.
That's fair.
Okay?
That's fair. The third judge.
That's right. As the goodest of boys, he has 3 heads. He gets to be the third judge. He gets to sit over here and help us judge from now on. We'll take Karnak's opinion from this point going forward. Okay.
Vince, do you have a Karnak model?
I have many Karnak models, not just one.
Okay. I was just saying because you have 3 beautiful dogs.
I do. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
I would say I'm surprised you haven't green stuffed to have your dogs on Karnak's bodies.
Sure.
Even just for a display piece.
Absolutely. Okay. Yes, he exists somewhere on the Z-axis. That's right. That's where he belongs. He can't be contained in this simple XY axis. It's not possible.
He found the secret. Come up above.
Exactly. That's the only real answer we can give. Okay.
Yep.
All right. Let's keep going here. Archon the Black. Or sorry, no, I apologize. I grabbed the wrong guy. That's not Archon the Black. I'm lying. I just saw it was Mortark. That's Manfred. I apologize. All right, Manfred. Damn it, Manfred. The reason that we have the Age of Sigmar, which may or may not be a good thing, depending on how you feel about that.
It's both good and bad.
Yes.
It's both good and bad in the world we live in now.
Dumpstered Teclis pretty hard when Teclis was trying to hold like 3 winds of magic or whatever.
Well, no, he dumpstered Gelt, which Teclis grabbed right. Gelt's wind, and then Teclis couldn't take 3 wins.
That's what it was.
But he was also being controlled by Chaos because he gave in to Chaos because he was weak then. But now he's, it's hard for me to separate. It's hard for me to separate, especially too because I'm just like, Wish he was Vlad.
Yeah, I mean, look, that's yeah, like Vlad. Whatever, like we're not gonna talk about it, but obviously
I
Vlad
know.
would be
Let's leave
pure
it. Leave
Chad.
it out. Leave it out. Yeah.
Like it would just be pure Chad. It's I'll just say right now he's not on this list because he's not an AOS character. He has
Right.
rightly stayed dead.
Yes.
Okay.
100%
Like,
agree.
best decision they've made because that character had a perfect end, and the dude is pure Chad. He would bust the top of this scale. Vlad
Yep.
rules. Now,
Manfred.
Manfred. Look, he is a Starscream. He's a backstabber. He's always working against Nagash, but then falling into line and then being like, "No, it was him the whole time. You should kill him, Nagash." Right? Like that's how I picture him talking. Right? My favorite narrative moment from recent times was when he got literally beaten by a swarm of rats and had to flee.
Yeah. Oh no, my ankles.
So that's great. Look, I've never come around on this dude. I'm sorry. I mean, the trick with him is though, he's done so much. Like he is in every single narrative arc. He shows up.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, doing some nonsense or another. But like comparatively to the other Mortarks, there's no way he's on the level, right?
No, it's not. And his main scheme is to break away from Nagash's will.
Yeah.
That's what he wants. Not necessarily. I don't know if he wants to be a god, but he wants to be his own being right now.
Yeah.
If he could do that, my goodness, there's a different trajectory for him. But he is just constantly shackled by his own ambition that is openly known to his god, who doesn't want him to have that ambition outside of how it serves him.
Right. Right.
Which, yeah, he's in jail, which kind of funny. Like for the character,
that is a very funny end for this, or not end, but current state of this character. I think we gotta have him breach cool and exists. I think that's just the right place.
He does too much to not breach cool.
Yeah, agreed. Okay. All right, excellent. Shalaxi, Hellbane. Here I have the piece of art with her. Very strangely, in a very strange position, killing this bloodthirster.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on in this picture? It's put the kids to bed. It was published in a real book. It's the closest to Rule 34 published in a real book. Shalaxi is a neat idea. Who is a literal who? Like I can't. She's done basically. She showed up in one story and it wasn't that interesting. So
Does she also exist in 40K?
I think so.
I think she does. Yeah. Maybe she does more over there. I don't know.
Yeah. I love Shalaxi. I love her in the game. Who?
Yeah.
What? Okay. Let's see here. Who have I got hiding? Oh, I've got those two hiding. I'm sorry. I need to make sure I don't have anybody.
There's a couple names that are in my head. I'm like, oh my god, I'm itching to get to them.
I'm sure.
You're saving for the bangers.
Okay. I've kind of been doing that. We'll do both of these together. These go as a pair. Which is Krondus and Crazy, Krondus and Karzai. So the new big named Stormcast dragons, both sort of masters of the last of their kind, of the Draconith or whatever, and enemies of Kragnos, which is like if you judge what's the statement? Judge a man's worth by the enemies that he makes or whatever, something like that, or the enemies he has. If that's the case, then these guys both get dumpstered instantly because Kragnos is dumb and terrible. And I am now remembering I literally didn't even put Kragnos on this list because it just wasn't relevant. Now, I will say they actually have some very fun interactions in Dawnbringers where you see both of them talking. They have a fun confrontation with Kragnos.
Alariel and Croak.
Yeah.
They're with that council, which
they are.
I don't know. Are they Sigmar's representative in that council, or are they just their own thing in this council? Because
I believe they're supposed to be Sigmar's representatives, but honestly,
I don't think they are.
Yeah, you know what that reads as to me? Do you know the Illuminati arc from the Marvel Universe, right? Like where
loosely, yeah.
Yeah, like Professor X and Iron Man and Mr. Fantastic and whatever, they all get together and they form like the Illuminati, right? And they're like the smartest people in the world who make some of the dumbest decisions, okay?
Yeah.
Kind of feels like that sort of thing going on with that team. But anyways,
well, I would say
Go
that
ahead.
that team is Croak originally sealed him away.
Yes.
Alario accidentally woke him up. Those other two
Yes.
want him dead. That is the four of them going, guys, we need to fix our mistake before like some of the other ones
Poor
find
dad
out and they
finds
get mad
out.
at us. Exactly. That I think that's more what it is. It's not anything past that.
Yeah.
But still, that doesn't make them less or more cool, I feel.
Yeah. I mean, I think so. If I'm going to stack these guys, Crazy is cooler than Krondus, but both of them are probably in exists.
Yeah.
Is that
Yep.
right?
That's
Okay.
right.
Yeah.
I said
Very good.
I think they're another one of those types of characters. It's man, it'd be fun to see them turn into cool or even pure Chad, but they're also dragons. I would rather see a more humanoid being get elevated than dragons because I can associate more with that than I can to a dragon.
Yeah. Manzak said Kragnos is like Killer Croc from Batman the Animated Series. Quote, I saw Batman, so I threw a rock at him. It was a big rock. That's a wonderful quote from Almost Got Him, like one of the top 5 episodes of Batman the Animated Series of all time. And it wasn't actually Killer Croc talking, though, there, Manzak, as I'm sure you know. Okay. At any rate, very good. Let's keep going. Scarbrand.
He's just another force in nature.
He is.
Now,
Angry, neat
yeah,
backstory.
I like that
Yeah,
he gets thrown around to where he's needed, and it makes sense for him to be thrown around. But I mean, exists at best.
yeah, agreed. Like again, I it's a this he's just a rage monster, right? So
Yeah,
yep. Uh Ionis Cryptborn.
Chad.
Chad. Pure Chad.
Okay, like
Welcome to pure Chadness,
we
Ionis.
finally found it. The
This
first pure
dude
Chad.
is pure Chad. We got there. He rules. This guy has existed since like the original incursion and has not reforged.
Yeah,
He is the Lord of Lord Relictors, the original Lord Relictor, on a mission to repair the flaw in the Stormcast forging. He made friends with a death dragon that was just like because of their shared suffering, and now he
yep.
has a cool dragon friend.
Just to save you from the comments you'll get later, he did die once.
Oh, okay.
That's when his voice became raspy.
Oh, that's right. Yes, I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Yes, he reforged.
He
But that
got
was like early on.
that was
He
early
has
on.
not
Yeah,
reforged in a
I
long time.
yeah. He's in single digit reforgings at least. It
Yes.
might just be that one, maybe two.
Yeah.
But yeah, but like he's man, like he is out to like God told him, go solve this issue that I cannot solve, and he's like, all right,
Right. Absolutely.
no
And
hesitation.
if you in the Dawnbringer stories, he's any scene with him in it, like the scenes where he shows up and is doing things and talking, especially if he's talking to like Vandus or other characters, by far the most interesting character.
Yeah,
Like he has pathos, he has motivation, he has clear goals. Like, yes. He is a Chad, pure Chad, no doubt,
yep,
100%.
yep,
Right. It's how I wish a lot of these characters were done. Okay.
yeah.
Very good. All right. Lady O. Lady Olinder.
Hmm.
Wonderful backstory, the Mortarch of Grief. I
Yep.
talked about her interaction with Bellicor earlier. That was a good scene on both of their parts. She has had a couple of interesting side stories that she has featured in. As this character of ultimate sadness, like obviously it's like her stories always sort of repeat a similar beat. But
And
she's
she came
interesting.
in, yeah, she came in after we had Manfred,
Right.
Archon, and Neferata, and it was like, whoa, out of nowhere, here's Lady O with steel chair, like a new character written
Yes.
purely in Age of Sigmar. And I remember my thoughts when she came out, reading who she is and what her backstory was. I'm like, she is cool.
Yes.
So that's my baseline of where I'm at. I think she is cool.
I
I
agree.
wish she would do a little more, but she's cool. She's
Yeah. She's
she
got that
could be
cool
well
factor.
written. She could be
Yes.
well written in a story if they made her the main character of any specific story.
Yeah, ultimately where I fall with her is there haven't been a lot of stories that featured her, but I've pretty much loved her interactions every time they have. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? Like she was a strong like 8 to 9 out of 10 every time she showed up in a story, even though she hasn't been in that many.
Yeah.
So to me that keeps her firmly into the cool place. Okay.
Yep. Agreed.
All right. But boo boo. Who is this hiding back here? Oh yeah, okay. I forgot I had him. Gardas Steel Soul. So, Gardas has done actually quite a lot of things. He's shown up in many stories. I mentioned earlier that he is presently MIA after going out like a boss, uh, just like jumping off the top of a crumbling tower and hammering King Broad in the head before being crushed to death.
Yep.
Uh,
He is the embodiment of the male urge to be the last one back to let everybody else get away. And he knows it and he lives it over and over again without hesitation.
yep.
Um Man, not to mention he leads the Hallowed Knights too. If I recall, he's the leader of that chamber. Um I Yeah, we're waiting for him to come back. I can't I want him in cool personally.
I'm with
Open
that.
to arguments, but okay.
No, I support you completely, and I'm with it. Gardas is cool. He
Yeah.
doesn't have the character as like he doesn't have as well developed a character as Ionis. Okay,
Right.
but man, he's definitely cool.
I say
Right?
when Sigmar started, we didn't really have the chambers really solidified.
Yeah.
So I did my own custom chamber. They're after the Reichsguard theme, Signs of Strength, all that sort of fun stuff. And then they introduced me to Gardas, and I forget the other one that he is permadead. Um, that was the one I thought was he's probably in the storm. His not Cells the Prime, the one with the lantern on foot. I forget what that model was.
Oh yeah, yeah.
But
I
they
remember that.
introduced
Yeah.
me to those two characters, and I almost reprimed the entire army to paint it Hallowed Knights because of
Sure.
him and one other character. So
Yep. Right on. Okay. Let's see. I think we're gonna go to one. I don't know. I don't know where you'll fall on this one. Let's see. We're getting into some big contenders now. Okay.
hmm.
Alariel.
Okay, remember at the start of
I
this
mean,
segment?
like it's too numerous to mention what she's done. Like
Yeah,
she's involved in literal everything in the mortal realms. Okay,
yeah.
just like from the reason life exists in the mortal realms is because of Alariel, because she walked the mortal realms, and where she steps, life blooms. Like she started her in the Age of Myth by walking around all the realms. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
She's technically the reason money exists.
Oh, really?
Aquagar
Okay.
Ennis, you know, or as it's more locally known,
That's a
the
good point. You're right. Or the water. I forgot. Yeah, water is money in Hammerhall. Yeah, you're right. It's her. It's
um.
her water. Yeah.
If you remember at the start when I was how much should I separate from Old World to Sigmar, and
Yeah.
you gave me that, and I said there's gonna be one character that will surprise you that I'm going to fight for to pull in her whole Old World section, and that's Alariel. I
Okay.
want her in pure chat
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
even for this one simple reason. And if you want, feel free to go to my blog. It's probably poorly written because I'm not the best typer. Strengthhammer.net. Type in Alariel. Uh, I forget the title of the blog is, but I go through her whole story up until I think just past the Realmgate Wars.
Yeah.
Of who she was. She was essentially a scared child who was in line to become the Everqueen, thrust into the Everqueen. She grew from a child into, a woman, into a powerful being, into a god. Like she has this whole trajectory that we have seen that I don't think we've seen that for many other characters. And she embodied it, and each stage she learns to own what she needs to be and who she is.
Yep.
And now it's God of all life.
Yep.
And she does not back down. She does not take anything. When Tyrion did his BS and kind of betrayed her in the back end, she forgave him because it helps her soul, but she's not back with him. No, yeah, you
Right.
screwed up. You're not coming back here. To me, she is the most real character I have seen in development all the way through, from the very first page I read about her to now, and I
Agreed.
love everything about her story.
Yep, we mentioned the love of Kurnoth as well, searching for her lost other half, as it were. And all this, like, yeah, I mean, like, whether you're talking about narrative impact, whether you're talking about backstory, whether you're talking about actual
Socioeconomic.
pathos and choices and everything, like,
Yeah.
she is the definition of pure Chad in the narrative. Like, she's in that Illuminati council we talked about earlier.
Hmm.
I mean, Alariel rules, and frankly, every time she shows up in stories, I'm generally excited to read about it, because I
Yeah.
just think she's actually a very well developed, like, character that is interesting. And by the way,
Yep.
she's made, like, mistakes. That's also what's interesting about her, and
Yeah.
she owns
And
them.
she
She's
owns
not
it and
like
she
some
tries to
perfect.
fix it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's actually fascinating to have a character at this power level still make mistakes, own them, and then try to correct them. Right? That's fascinating.
Yep.
So she doesn't just get full, like, plot armor where nothing she does is ever wrong. Right?
I mean, if you ever want to do a whole 2 hour episode on just Alariel, let me know, Vince. I'm here.
Okay,
I could
sounds
I
good.
could go on her. I love her.
Sidetracked. Is Bastion on the list? Well, strange you ask. Bastion Carthalos. I mean, you know, okay. Can someone become pure Chad just based on concept alone? I don't know. Maybe. Uh, Look, Bastion is awesome. There is
Hmm.
no doubt about it. But if this were like just a model contest, he'd be way up there. He is the
Hmm.
emblematic Stormcast. Actual narrative wise, it's a little weaker than it could be. I can't see him any lower than cool, but I can't see
The
him. As much as I want him in pure Chad, it's not.
Yeah, I can see him touching Chad for sure. The two things that stand out for me is I think um in the story where I'm sorry, I forget her name. She rides the Manticore for Cities of Sigmar.
Oh, Thalia, right?
Yeah,
Thalia,
Talia.
Talia. Yeah.
So when
Sorry,
she
Thalia is the
kills the
magic card. Talia is the one in the mortal realms. Yes.
Yeah, so when she goes and kills the other leaders and takes their weapons, he just looks at her, "Yep, you're what we need," and walks away.
Right.
Like, and then there's another scene. Actually, it's in the Blacktown series where they're pleading. The other Blacktowns are pleading with him to do something, and he's just like, "Nope, this is what we're doing." Like, he is on point always. He's that 5-star general.
Yes.
So like, he's stuck in a mode, which makes it hard to get him into pure Chad. But I think he's touching it because he is the perfect person for where he needs to be right now.
I'm with it, and you've sold me. You don't got to ask me twice. Okay. Very good. All right. Now, Archon the Black. Cool picture of Archon.
Have we seen him since he was yeeted off the Realm of
I don't
Light?
think so. Like, we
Okay.
know he's around,
Yeah. He's can
but
always come
no, I
back.
don't think he got dumpstered so hard he had to sit out like most of an edition.
I mean, man, he's so important for the Death Army though, like as a concept, because Nagash is a failure and Archon is not.
Yeah. Again, another character that stretches back forever.
Yeah.
As, like, this guy was always loyal to Nagash and always trying to bring back his master in the old world and all of that. And, in here, he was instrumental in the um, Soul Wars or whatever. So the AOS 2
Hmm.
narrative. He's the one who, basically helped Nagash actually. He's instrumental to the Black Pyramid plan and to all the grave sand and to unleashing the Nagash's great plan across the realms and all of that. Like, that was all, this guy doing some big work. Yeah. I mean, if loyalty were a thing, boy, he'd be up there.
Yeah.
I ultimately, though, I don't think he's as cool as Nephi or Oosh, but I think he
No,
is
he's
cooler than Manfred in the Mortark scale. He's
yeah.
cool, but somewhere in the middle between all them. Does that sound about
I'm
right to you?
I'm fine with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's technically he's resting, he's sleeping, because, like, there is a scene, they he's not actually permanently destroyed, because they had a scene where Nagash, after Nagash gets himself dumpstered in the fight with Teclis. There's a scene with him where he's, like, talking, or, like, his ghostly reassembling form is, like, making reference to having collected archons essence to restore him. So like that does happen. They tell you like, don't worry, your favorite little best boy isn't dead. So they did that. That does happen in the story.
Yep.
Okay, well, we talked about him, so let's get him in here. Teclis, and technically in Salinor, I guess they are both named characters. The current actual visible leader of the Lumineth, and look, unlike his brother, has the decency to show up the whole time all of these world-altering, world-shattering events are happening. Teclis at least deigned to take part. Will go out and personally lead his forces. I just talked about it, but yeah, the aforementioned battle against Nagash, right? So yeah, I don't know. Like, where are you coming down with this? I'm gonna let you go on this one for a minute.
Man, I've been a staunch defender of Teclis through the end times when everyone was like, "Oh, he's the village idiot. He's village idiot."
Mm-hmm.
And not to go deep into it, but he was the only one willing to do what needed to be done to save that world. Everyone else was too much of a coward. So that's why I'm a Teclis stan, I guess, for life. That said, well, he's done some really cool stuff. I mean, you don't just turn a bunch of Night Haunt back into living beings and watch them fall to their doom without being close to Chad level.
Sure.
I can't say he's on pure Chad level just because he always has that shadow of his. Even here, we've talked about he's in the shadow of his brother. Always has been, kind of always will be to a point.
Yep.
He's fixed things, but he also does screw stuff up a lot. He's the highest cool I think you can get. I'm hesitant, maybe a pixel into pure Chad, but like, man, it's not a lot. It's not a lot for me.
No, you know what? I think I'm okay with that. I think that probably works for me. There he is. I was trying to find a picture of this. Okay. All right.
I mean, he was also, one of the key points of capturing Slanesh. So like that can't be.
That's a good point.
Aside either. Yeah,
that's cool. Yeah, you know what? I'm actually pretty with that. I'm gonna do that exactly. He gets a little honorary toe up in pure Chad. Mostly cool. Okay.
Yeah.
He does also win the worst dad of the millennia award for like making a species of people and then being like, nah, and throwing them away. Woof.
Yeah, I think he's adapting to what the setting of Age of Sigmar is. End times to me, he was pure Chad. I mean, you don't stab your goddess in the heart to use her power to try and win the world's life without being a pure Chad.
Yeah.
But new setting, time has changed. He let his whole race go through a yet another apocalypse, which is a whoops. So that's why like not he can't be full pure Chad just yet. One day we'll get him back.
I'm with that. All right. Let's see. Boom, boom. There we go. Next up, the Celestant Prime. Big CP. Has Gul Maraz.
That's cool.
You know.
That's Gal Maraz is cool.
Gal Maraz is cool. Yeah. Just think I just put a picture of the hammer there.
Yeah.
Did some fun things early in AOS. Like obviously had some really interesting sort of victories there in retrieving Gal Maraz and that kind of thing. I don't know, man. I gotta say, I know, like it seems like he should be higher, but I think he slides into exists.
He's in exists. They are one reference to who he is away, and they have not solidified this. This is more wish listing. They're one reference to a certain character from the old world away of saying that's whose soul this is, from shooting all the way up to the top of cool, maybe even in chat eventually. But I don't think they want to do that, and that's fine.
You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna have him slightly touching who, because I like the joke that Max C just said. Who? I mean, who? Like really? Who is this guy?
Yeah, who is it? Listen, he better be Karl Franz. Sorry.
No, yeah, exactly. All right. Okay, we're getting down to some final ones here. Okay. Thankful. Technically on Bone Ripper. Again, a character that has somehow been around for just ever. Inexplicably old gray seer for a very short-lived species.
They made a new model for him in End Times and said, we shouldn't have done that.
Yeah, like
that's it.
I guess his Warpstone habit has really done a great job of keeping him alive. the problem is all the cool stories I'd reference this with this guy. I shouldn't say all. 80% of the cool stories I'd reference this guy would be old world stuff
Yeah,
where
it's
he
all
was.
against Gotrek.
Yes.
He was
Yep.
Gotrek's foil, and he's not the case. So what's he doing now? Nothing
Yeah.
that I know of. You would know better, but yeah.
No, it's not much. Like he has been so tragically underused throughout
Yeah.
all the AOS Skaven lore. It's not that he hasn't had a few things here and there. Certainly, I don't want to pretend like it's nothing,
Yeah.
but it's certainly not enough. I think, sadly, to my chagrin, he has to slide down here into exists.
Yeah, I mean, if the lore writers for Age of Sigmar need, I can send them my copies of Gotrek and Felix and a Thankful trilogy that they can read to realize that he is a cool character, and you can use him. Maybe
Right.
they forgot. Maybe they've never read them. I don't know.
Yeah, Little Stinker says Thankful older than the new Skaven character, whose character is that he's old. Yes, love it. Okay, Lord Croak, the mummified frog again, another like very old being. This dude has been around for just ever.
I think he isn't he the oldest right now outside of like demons and stuff. Because he was around before any of the elven gods, the current elven gods. He was alive well before that.
Yeah, I
He
think
was
he's
dead
currently
before them even.
Yeah, right. Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to measure
Yeah.
because he's been a corpse for like a long time, but that didn't slow him down much. And I mean, good on him, I suppose, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, look, he's a Chad. He just
Yep.
is. We're talking about a frog, a dead frog. First of all, he's dead and that didn't slow him down much. Pure Chad move number 1 right there. Okay.
Yeah. What?
2.
And when he died back in the old world, he killed a legion of demons when he died in his explosion.
Right. Exactly.
That's crazy.
Number 2, he remembered his entire species into existence.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay.
I forgot about that.
That's pretty good. That is a Chad move if I've ever heard one. I'm not done yet. 3, he has literal spaceships.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
With space lasers that have shot down a silver tower.
Yes, with space lasers. Okay. He has
Oh.
spaceships with space weapons. Okay. All right. That's number 3. Number 4, he's part of this whole Illuminati crew that again is like trying to sort of like guard the whole world. He's just like when this dude shows up, awesome stuff happens. So he actually makes sense in AOS. He's done awesome things in AOS. They've used this dude. He's Chad through and through. Okay.
Also, let's keep in mind, probably through his death at being forever, he has kind of transcended what his even species is. Because, like, the cold calculating lizards following the Great Plan.
Yeah.
If you ever asked them for some love advice, you think they would tell you anything? No, but Alariel
Yes.
opened up herself to Croak
This
for
is such
some
a good
reason.
scene. You're not wrong. Yes.
And
Croak
Croak's
is
like,
like
"There's
giving
hope."
her advice of the heart because he's just like, look, man, it's cool. Let me help.
It's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
Yeah.
okay. I think even
I
the
forgot
scene in
that
Excelsior.
scene. It's
Yeah,
so good.
it's like, why Croak? I thought Alariel might go like maybe a Marathi. That'd be interesting. Like, but like giving some hope there, But like no, Croak, the dead lizard, is like, don't worry, he's out there, honey. You'll find him. Like, okay.
Yeah. And like the way they actually handled him giving that comfort was in itself so alien and strange because he's just such an otherworldly being. But it was comforting but foreign all at the same time, right? Yeah, God.
Well,
Totally.
and even during the end of Broken Realms, was it? What's the stupid big guy from Destruction? I always forget. Kragnos.
Yeah.
Marathi's fighting Kragnos. Well, I guess the Shadow Queen's fighting Kragnos. Marathi's there doing her part. Croak shows up. It's like, what the heck's going on? And they just look at each other, and he's like, all right, here's a portal. And Marathi's like, here's the portal. Looks like home. And like they work together. Like at a glance, they figure it out. And it's like, cool. Like,
Yep.
he doesn't care. He's like, I'm here to fulfill the plan. We'll make this happen. Don't worry.
Yep. Absolutely.
I
All
bet he goes
right.
drinking with Grugny.
Just Chad all the way through.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Catacross. The last Mortarch we haven't touched yet. So the Mortarch of the Necropolis, leader of the Ossiarch Bone Reapers, a tactical genius without, basically equal is how he's written, right? He moves his military forces around. Managed to penetrate into the 8
All
points.
points. Yep.
Yeah, and actually establish a permanent bastion there. Like he permanently toppled and took over one of the great fortresses of the 8 points, and now operates out of that thing as like a foothold into the basically this realm of chaos slash nexus point between all of the realms.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the he hasn't gotten a lot of, he kind of didn't do much in the last edition, but where he was there in Broken Realms where he showed up, actually is pretty interesting. You got a lot of time actually amongst his point of view. He's interesting.
Yeah,
Again,
and even he shows for a death construct, he does show a weird bit of humanity that doesn't
yeah,
exist kind of elsewhere, even within the death setting. Even when he's stabbed by Archon's blade, he
yes,
still feels it, even though he's in a new body.
yeah.
That's kind of, and it kind of scares him a little bit, even though he's death, but he knows his duty. So it's a that unique twist on a death construct who should have really no emotion.
Right. I agree. I think he's cool.
Yeah,
Right.
even
I mean,
Sigmar locked him up.
yeah,
Let's be real.
absolutely. All right,
Cool.
we have two left. Two left, and I mean I know where they're both going. Okay, they're just we're just gonna move them straight up. So number one, Marathi. I'm sorry, I have three left. I apologize, three left.
Okay.
Marathi, pure Chad. Like I'm sorry,
She
this
is
the definition of a character with narrative impact. Holy crap! She conquered, toppled one of the cities of Sigmar, took it over, renamed it after herself after this huge machination, while becoming a god, and then still managed to stay allied with all the people she had just theoretically stabbed in the back.
Yep. And then just they're cool. They're all good with it now.
Yeah,
Yeah,
because they have to be, because the way she knew how to machinate that, that
everyone,
she was like going to end
she
up in this
manipulated
place.
she manipulated technically Archeon,
Yep.
Sigmar, Alariel, all the Stormcast. It's yeah, I mean she's the purest of silver tongue. Not to mention just she's like, "Oh, I'm not a god. That makes me mad. I'm going to become a god." And then she does it. Like they could have made that her whole persona for the entire setting of Age of Sigmar. Her trying to become a god. Like, no, I'm a god
Right.
now, and I will mess you up, and I'm going to exist in every setting. Like, my goodness, I have so much narrative fun with. I'm so glad that that's the army I suddenly attached to before, like, right before
Yeah.
she revealed, because she is, she's not the nail being driven. She's the hammer driving the nail in my mind.
Yeah. Like this is, take heed, Be'lakor and Kairos. This is how you do machinations. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
These two wish they had a plan that got carried off half as good as hers.
Yeah. And
Right?
she's telling her followers what the plan is, and they're like, "Okay, we'll keep it secret." Outside of a one small sect, but that's
Yes,
another
outside
story.
of Methuselah stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. However, I will say,
Oh,
put her.
also she's
Oh,
faking. We didn't even mention that she's faking that the god is still alive and then redirecting all the power to
oh
herself.
God, yeah,
Like
yeah,
Agatha Harkness style. Like
yeah.
Chad. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, yeah. It's oh man, yeah. Every time she's mentioned, it's like you better be engrossed because things are about to change.
Yes, when she took all of her cauldrons directly to the Varanspire, where all the like realm stone was, and then
Mm-hmm.
dumped the blood and just fed the Varanspire into the cauldrons because all the cauldrons
Yeah,
feed back to her super cauldron. Like every element of her plan was amazing.
yeah. And then she's like, "Oh, I'm just gonna make the Stormcast think differently," and then the Shadow Canite elves came out and just killed the ones that saw through it, and then she went back and like, yeah, no, oh my God, like let's not forget with part of that plan to become a god, taking this lantern that was stolen.
Yes.
So that's what pissed off the Idoneth. And she's walking into boiling chaos. Now she's done with chaos before. She's been around since, fantasy. She's old, she's ancient, it's wonderful. I love her. She's the best thing in the world. She's walking into boiling.
Yeah, I think she's like the second oldest actual sort of character walking around.
Yeah. She walks into boiling chaos, molten stone.
Fahrenheit. Yeah.
That's being held together and in check by her. So she actually has to trust somebody else in this case, even though she's telling them what to do. With the sacrifice of the 4 different Chaos God followers, she goes into the belly of Slaanesh, which she also climbed her way out of after being eaten, which she did not want to go back there. And she's like, oh, I'm going to grab all the Phoenix Kings. And even during there, she's grabbing them, eating them up, and you're like, oh man, like I'm seeing the references to that Phoenix King, this Phoenix King. Oh man, they're absorbed. They're in her power. And then Anarian, who's on this list, who is the Giga Chad, said, you don't get to eat me. And that's where the soul split happened.
Yes.
However, because I'm a hopeless romantic, I think he did that out of love to remove the evil portion from her good portion. And that's why that the Shadow Heart or Shadow Queen is slowly getting away from her. Because that's her bad part being removed by Anarian.
I would actually call it her malevolent part, right? Her
that's
sort of
fair.
unchecked malevolence. Yeah.
That's a better part. Yeah, because she is more stable than she was before in her writing, just for like the Marathi Kane part. So
that's right. Yep.
Okay. However, I will say this: put her 2 pixels below Alariel. She always has to have something to shoot for.
Exactly where I put her. Nailed it.
Okay, perfect, great.
Like we are simpatico, my friend. Absolutely. All right. Next up, Archeon, Grand Marshal of the Apocalypse, the bringer of the end times.
Destroyer of Worlds.
Destroyer of Worlds, yes. I mean, like, obviously he blew up the old world, like the instigator of that whole situation. Captured Tyrion. If you ever do want to read a good scene, there's a great scene with like where he has Tyrion kind of shackled and they're overlooking. I think they're in like Prague at that moment or something. I don't remember where he is in the Empire, but they're kind of overlooking that after a battle, and the two of them are just having a deep conversation about sort of like life, the universe, and everything. And it's just a really interesting thing to get his perspective. I still submit that the most awesome thing that could have happened during the end times would have been if he had like rejected chaos completely, but whatever. They already had the new model out. So.
Yeah. It's great to see that he was another one of those characters that's just like, yeah, I'm using you to get this done. I don't necessarily like you in a weird, like little anti-establishment. I mean, he knows the uses, he knows the tools. I think what puts him in the Chad for me, like that like little cherry on top, is that he's old and tired.
Yeah.
When he first meets Vandus is like, I will kill you in the name of Sigmar, and he's like, I just asked your name, buddy. Can we not?
Right.
And he's talking to Abraxia, and Abraxia's like, oh, I screwed up. I did this. And he's like, calm down. Go here. Just do this.
Whatever. Yeah, he's so over it. I do love every time they actually voice him. He doesn't get a lot of like actual talking. They don't actually voice him too often. But I do love when they voice him because, yes, he comes off as just over it, right?
Yeah.
Because he's sort of... And I love that he uses the Chaos Gods the same way they use him. Right? Like, he knows what this is. He's clear-eyed about the whole situation, right? And he refuses to, like, transform or accept their gifts. Like, he wants to stay, mortal. He's over there. He almost freed Slaanesh from the Umbraneth prison before actually Catacross drew him away. Right?
I love that he was right there, and he's like, I could still do it, and then walk away. But I'll be back. You're good. Yeah. You stay there. Get comfy.
Right. So, I mean, like, Archeon has had, obviously, a hugely impactful narrative throughout all of the Mortal Realms. Character-wise, just pure Chad. Like, yeah, it's he's in there. But below Marathi and Alariel, because ultimately, though he does have some good pathos and some good beats, it's not as good as these other characters.
Yeah, it's one of those things. He's such a cool character. I kind of wish he was. Like, he's a great model. Like, he's an absolutely great model. I kind of wish he wasn't, because he needs to be that foil for Sigmar.
Yeah.
And it's a weird place where Sigmar wants to kill the Chaos Gods, but it should be. Yeah, it's a little odd, but
All right, one more. Oh, it was way too big of a
Real
picture.
quick, I see in the chat, Gwel said about Marathi with the destroyed places that she cut a deal and Grugny chipped in. She did, but she probably set up the timing on that perfectly to make that happen.
Oh
So
yeah, absolutely.
Marathi pure chat. If you
All
think she
right,
didn't do it, she did it.
that's right. Our last one, Nagash. If by the way, if I didn't mention one, now's your time, chat. If we didn't mention one, but yes. Anyways, Nagash. Uh, this so Nagash, uh, eternally foiled by Skaven. That is his
Yeah.
destiny. Is that I have never seen a character with more power get continuously uh just tripped at the last moment by a few rats. This guy has been like 3 times. This guy's ultimate plan has been stopped by Skaven, going back to the old world, right?
Right, and he's always he never rates them, never looks at them because they're beneath him, and that's
Right.
always his downfall.
Yes. Arrogant
Ugh.
in the extreme, like so much, but like very fun the way they make him talk. He's another one that like they actually will give him voice in some of the stories sometimes, and it's fun that he only talks in capital letters.
Yeah,
Like,
I forgot about that.
yeah, like he can't hold a normal conversation, right?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, so like he it was fun to watch him get kicked in the nards by Teclis. That was really great. Although given that
Our
did have to do with the city of Sigmar that's in Heist showing up and helping out, where they like opened up all the Luminarch
Yeah,
Luminarchs on him.
pinned him to a mountain. Archeon also throws him into the coffin right before
Yes,
Soul
yes,
Wars.
that's right. Yes, Archeon did smack him around there. I'll tell you right now, like this dude is the ultimate story of he's cool, he wants to be in pure Chad. I'll give him a little bit up there, but he's kind of ultimately in that. I honestly, I think Oosh and Neffy are cooler than him, but he's on the
Yeah,
same kind of area.
yeah,
Uh, he's just like failed so many times. The problem with him is because he's, and I suppose this is the character, but it limits him because he's death and he's so unchanging, right? He represents like the unchanging nature of death. It's very clear that he like quite literally, as you said, never learns from his mistakes,
right.
right? And as a result, he keeps tripping over the same exact problems over and over and over and over again. And that can only be interesting so much, right?
Right. It's to for him to evolve and learn, he needs to release control, like on his
Yeah.
Mortarks, release control and let them be and listen to them. But he will never do that.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Yeah.
Archon's the closest to that ever happening. He's considered things like that, but he's permanently stuck because he refuses to evolve and change because it's fitting for death. Death
Right.
is.
He's the ultimate exemplification of death, which is unchanging, and so he's locked into this. But that's just it. He's locked in, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. All right. Let's see characters that we didn't touch. Okay. Callus and Toll. Callus and Toll would most definitely. I think they would go into pure Chad. Part of that is because of plot armor. Boy, do they have it thick on
Yep.
them. But I like they are very cool. They've interacted in like every story. They are the balcony Muppets of the Dawnbringer Crusades because they sit up there and just make fun of people.
Yep.
And I like that about them. Statler and Waldorf were always two of my favorite Muppets. These two don't, they don't stand on ceremony either. They get the work done. Witch hunters are awesome. So yeah, Callus and Toll would go into pure Chad.
I
Um,
see. Ian Drosta is another one here.
oh yeah, I didn't read her book, and so I feel like I don't know
I didn't
enough
either.
about her.
Yeah,
Um,
unfortunately, don't. I mean, she's cool. I'd say at least for sure.
yeah, definitely she would fall into at least cool for me for sure. I didn't mention another one I didn't pull. I'll mention another one I didn't pull it, but I thought was is Gunner, who I understand I think there's a novel about Gunner Brand, the like
Oh yeah.
Dark Oath name
Hmm.
dude. I really didn't know anything about this character. I guess there's a book with them in it, that whole family or whatever. But I actually thought that their portrayal in the last Dawnbringer book was really cool, and it got me interested enough that I might go read that book. Um, just because Gunnar and his whole family actually came off as really interesting characters. It's just like very cool characters. It's weird to be a Dark Oath barbarian in a world of monsters, right? Like the
Yeah, it's an interesting setting.
yeah.
Where will we
So
put Gotrek?
yeah, I didn't grab Gotrek intentionally because he feels like such an old world character, and I just don't know what I would do with him. Um,
It's hard because like he will swing at a god without hesitation,
sure.
but
I mean, I'll be honest, on this scale as we've rated it, I think he would fall into exists in the AOS narrative. Like I can't think of too many things that have pivotally turned on him or where he's had a big effect.
yeah,
Um,
even in the old world setting when he's made effects that have happened, it's kind of not known.
yeah, he's
Like
a
it's always in the background. It's doing something big and it's saving the world, but no one really knows about it other than the direct people involved.
yeah, so much of him lives in those great old world novels, which like admittedly are very good.
Yeah.
Like the Felix and Gotrek novels. And so that's just it. I feel like I'd being a disservice to put him in exists, but that's kind of where he actually lives in AOS. If I was allowing a lot more old world stuff in, I'd move him up pretty strictly into pure
Yeah,
chat.
that's fair. That's fair. That makes sense why he's left out then.
Yeah. Um,
What's that?
hey, no problem, Get Crater. We're here, buddy. We're here. Absolutely. I want to do a very fun show tonight. And arguing about how cool characters are seems like the perfect thing.
I
Um,
have to mention Cthulhu. I think
oh yeah,
Cthulhu
Cthulhu,
is.
yeah, the Crone
I
Seer,
think
yeah.
she's solid. She's on the low end of cool right now. She's gonna probably like slide into cool exists. I think over time. But I'm glad that she's the counterpoint to Marathi's shenanigans. It makes for some fun future storytelling when they decide to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I agree, and I really like the one of the things they've sort of cottoned to is that it's interesting to have sort of internecine struggles amongst the factions, right?
Hmm.
And you see this with like Be'lakor and Archeon is probably one of the templates for this, right?
Hmm.
But you see it now across a couple of the different factions. And obviously Cthulhu represents that for the daughters, right? Where she's because of something she knows or believes or whatever, she acts somewhat in opposition to Marathi, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
uh, she's it's
I mean,
weird. She sort of acts like a little more than a flying prognosticating taxi
yeah.
in the
And it,
Dawnbringer series, but I agree. Like she is a character rich with potential. That's what I'll say.
I mean, she's technically the avatar of a what was thought to be a dead god who didn't have an avatar during the end times, so that's an interesting plot point. And like yeah, she's like pure faith. She's the faith-based thing that Marathi is technically missing.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
it's great. I like it.
Yeah, Mac Radikar, Chadakar himself,
Jadakar, yep.
as it were, had a neat story in Curse City, and then
Well, is
then they left all that behind.
that's Curse City's failure more so
Yeah,
than his failure though.
yeah. I don't want to like blame him. That's not fair. But
Yeah.
I'd put him definitely into cool, for sure.
Yeah.
Because
And I will have to mention Terathi, my little OC that made it into the book. She's in
yes,
heart tier. She's forever in my heart. That's
just
where she stands.
absolutely,
She
she'd be
could
right up there next to. She'd be on the other side next to Karnak. Absolutely, just watching over
exactly, yeah,
us.
yep.
Yeah, 100%. Was Gobsprack on the list? Gobsprack.
uh, is that the Cruel Boys guy?
Oh yeah, Gobsprack, the
Yeah,
Cruel
the one that talks
Boys.
to Kragnos and has.
Yes, of
I mean,
course.
I don't know if he can be a Chad or even cool if you're just erasing history whenever he hides Kragnos's
I do love that.
thing.
Yes.
Like I love it, it's cool, but like man, do I hate it
Yeah,
at the
I
same
think I'd
time.
put Gobsprack in like 80% in exists and 20% into cool.
Yeah.
Because Gobsprack mostly exists in the narrative I've read as like a just sort of
Someone's
a
got to walk Kragnos
Google
and
Translate for Kragnos, right?
someone has to walk Kragnos and let the new kid do it. That's the Cruel Boys.
Yeah. But there is a couple funny things that Gobsprack does, like you mentioned, the erasing the history and all of that. Like he's a little jerk, and that's cool. But yeah, there you go. That's sort of the list. Got a good spread, I think,
Hmm.
of characters. A lot of cool characters. I'll tweet this out as well as put it on Blue Sky. It's Warhammer Weekly in both of those things. I'll throw that out there tomorrow so people can have a little image. God Santa says, is there a good intro to narrative play you'd recommend? I mean, Path to Glory in its form is really probably the way to do that. It's a little complicated. You have to know the game itself because it's going to add stuff onto it, but that's a perfectly fine way.
I would take a step back from that to make it even easier. Find someone else who's open to narrative play with you. Make 2,000 point lists. Whenever you're making your list, kind of like try and make a theme. Even if you're breaking the rules of list creation, create a theme for your army and tell a story. Agree why are those armies there to fight? What's your goals? Your goal doesn't have to be to win or capture objectives. It might be to get this character across the board. Narrative is about forming a story with the play partner across from you.
I like that.
So I don't think you even need to do Path to Glory. Just tell a story, find out why you're there, why your army's built this way, and your opponent has the same thing, and you tell that story as it happens. You're not trying to win. You both could technically win in a narrative story, so you both could lose.
Beautiful. Love it. Excellent. All right. Well, thank you everybody for watching. Don't forget to hit like, subscribe, click things that make dings on the way out. It's very much appreciated. And if you want to support the show, don't forget there's lots of ways you can do so. You can hit up all the links down below. There's affiliate links down there. It doesn't cost you anything extra. In fact, it saves you money. And it's a great way to pick up all your hobby supplies. There's Uncle Adam and I's games down there. Stay tuned. This Friday, there may be a big announcement about something. I don't know what it would be. It would be our new issue of Snarl, because we already said it. New issue of Snarl comes out this Friday. So watch for that. It's going to have a new game in it, which we haven't talked about yet. But it will also have expansion content for Death Wizards, Majestic 13, and Reign in Hell. So it is a jam-packed issue of Snarl. We're very excited about this one. And so check it out. And then also, of course, there's our Patreon down there. But hey, Chuck, thank you, buddy. This is a lot of fun. I knew there was no one more perfect to come on the show to do this with me than you. So thank you, brother.
I'm so happy you invited me. Like I said, it's with my new job. It's been hard to be fully engaged with Warhammer outside of the weekly club nights. So something like this has been refreshing. Remind me why I love Age of Sigmar a lot. You know, this was good. I appreciate you having me and thinking of me to have me on.
100%, brother. Anytime. For all of you out there, thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. And as always, we'll see you next Wednesday.